Peace. Actually, we're logging into two different. He's on his YouTube live, and then I'm here on Instagram live. So just bear with us. Just kind of just letting people come on in. But peace,
You got
peace
14.
and love.
You got 14 in so far.
Okay, people are coming in.
We was before we got off.
We're just online. Actually, we were on Holistic Remedies. We were on his live. So now we hopped over to my live for a little bit because something kicked us off. So I don't know. Maybe.
Yeah, Instagram, and like the knowledge probably. We was jumping into the P47s, the P52s. How we're actually these multivariants, and how sometimes you can see a shadow apparition of yourself peeking at you, and you can believe it's a shadow apparition, and it could just really be a multidimensional being, another version of you from another timeline, pretty much peeking at you.
Yeah, so many things are merging. It's just that the times are, everything is happening right now, right? Because everything is escalated. The solar flare activity has been massive. We've had X solar flares coming from the sun, right? Then the Schumann resonance is spiking. We are raising that's coming from us, y'all. The more that we raise, in consciousness, we evolve and we raise in frequency, the more this is happening. So this is a really amazing time to be here on Earth right now.
Well, it's been proven scientifically that we have a biological connection to the sun. We are telekinetically connected to the sun, which means that we amplify the sun when we amplify in consciousness. The sun amplifies in intensity, which means that in perspective, we're the ones causing all the solar flares. We're the ones creating all the solar activity and causing the Schumann resonance spikes. These are things that are all coming from us because we're children of the sun. So we're integrated with the sun. So this is why it's very important that we're getting out ground and sun gazing and trying to connect with it. One of the things that they utilized to pretty much distort that connection was the 5G towers and a lot of the deceptive technology, because it distorts the primordial dragon ley lines. It distorts the primordial dragon ley line connection and our resonance with the connection by creating a deceptive overlay, a deceptive holographic overlay. So then when you try to connect, you're getting distortion. This is also why we hear ringing in our ear. Sometimes we think it's our ancestors, but it's really the lack of our ancestors being able to connect with us, the distortion pretty much that comes into play from radio frequencies and things of that nature. This is why I talk about copper bracelets, wearing copper, wearing crystals and things of that nature.
Absolutely. And connecting with the water. I recommend the water rituals. So what I do is I do water releases, right? I connect with the water because we are water, and we have 65 to 70% of water within each and every one of us. And when we connect with the water, we bring it back to life. They try to make the water dead with all the chemicals and things like that. They try to make it so it's not active, but we reactivate the water with our energy, our frequency, speaking into the water, speaking love into the water, releasing the energies that no longer serve you, transmuting those energies back into love, back into positive things, right? Because right now, especially, like, the energies are really turning up really big on Earth. We have to connect as much as we possibly can and ground and release the energies that no longer serve us. Also detox, clear out all the parasites, clear out all the heavy metals, all those things, so that we can continue to activate, because it's going to become a time where a massive solar flare is going to hit. Similar to the Carrington, event, but even more escalated than that. And so when that time happens, we want to make sure our vessels are ready to receive that energy. And this is why we talk about, parasite cleansing and detoxing and things, because it's really important, so that we can receive those energies and upgrade with the cosmic activation and not allow it to affect us in a negative way.
Ashe. And somebody asked, how have your dreams been? Our dreams have been, I explained, we're drinking the Astro Travelers Dream Tea. This is on her website on JRC Collections. This is a phenomenal product, and it's something that I've been drinking every night because it activates the pineal gland. But one thing that you're going to notice with the Schumann resonance spikes is dreams that feel more real than standard. And the reason why that happens, it's primarily because the dimensional overlay, where all the dimensions are sandwiched together. So when Amy Eskridge talked about the P47s and the P52s, she was talking about ultra-terrestrial beings, pretty much inadvertently us.
That's from the future.
We're multiversal. We are. Time isn't linear. It's cyclical. It's spherical. All right, which means that the past, present, and future is all happening simultaneously. We're occupying all of those timelines now. So when we talk about these dreams are just us in other timelines. So because things are sandwiched together, sometimes you you may tap into another version of one of your other realities and remember it very close. Like, it feels so real. You see people in a dream you never even met in this reality, but they felt like your best friend while you're there, because in another reality, that is your best friend.
Exactly.
Right? So it's going to get very intense with as we continue to get these Schumann resonance spikes. We had an X-class solar flare a few days ago, and on the 24th, we had 2 X-class solar flares, an X2.52 and an X2.5. All right, which are very powerful solar flares from, and this came from active region 4419. That's an active region. The sunspot is huge, where some theorize that a sunspot could be bigger than that, like you mentioned, the 1859 Keratin event, that a sunspot can come from that active region that's bigger, because they say it's about the size of 220 Earths put together, allegedly, this sunspot.
And my beliefs too is, what I know deep down inside is that, as we mentioned, there's a shift, right? The shift started a long time ago. And this shift was a matter of where were we going to end up? What timeline are you going to end up on? And I believe that we are constantly jumping, by second, by minute, every day we're jumping based on how we're showing up and what we're doing, and what are we doing to connect with the highest version of ourselves, right? To get to that highest level of timeline. So, and that's why I talked about connecting with water. One of the things I do, whether it's a shower or bath, I release energies that no longer serve me. And I always imagine being at the highest version of myself, merging with the highest version of myself that is already, evolved in consciousness, and continue to do that each and every day, and release the energies that no longer serve us. Because we have to continue to release those things that are holding us back, release everything from the 3D, because we've been so programmed by so many things over time since birth. So it's not easy just to
by
let
family
go
and
of
everything else.
everything.
Family, religious constructs,
Yes.
societal constructs,
I say.
school,
Yes.
your job, whatever you believe a job
Everything.
is, to make it in this
Everything.
mundane matrix system. All right.
And we all fall back sometimes, but the thing is catching ourselves, being more aware, so aware that when we know that things are not aligning, or we're not aligning with the highest version of ourselves, you know what? Let me self-correct. Let me transmute that energy and get back on the path. We can't beat ourselves up and be hard, because it's not an easy thing to release all the programming all at once. So we just have to become more aware. And once we become more aware, then little by little, we're releasing that old version. We self-correct and we get right back on the path. Right?
Ashe, most definitely. Thoughts on DMT for opening your mind? See, I'm on 2 platforms, guys and goddesses, just so you know. I'm on YouTube right here, and then we got Instagram open right here. So somebody on YouTube asking thoughts on DMT for opening your mind up and more. Now, the goddess mentioned earlier that DMT can be activated through Kundalini and Prana, through breathing. Through breathing exercises, we have the ability of naturally producing dimethyltryptamine through the diaphragm. All right, by something called the dragon breath technique. Can invoke that. It can invoke Kundalini. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. I have tried DMT before. DMT was one of the scariest psychedelics that I have ever tried. I'm gonna keep it a buck with you. Right. But will I do it again? Yes, I will, because I understand that fear is a construct that's associated with the ego and our perception that was built on this 3-dimensional construct. So once we shatter those things, we have the ability of seeing other variants of ourselves that we need to heal or fix, or other parts of ourselves that exist in other timelines. Right. Listen, the person that made mention of DMT, when I did DMT, one of the things that I seen, I was brought to what's called a cosmic carnival of some sort. So when we talk about the circus, when we talk about the carnival, all of these things were created in the psychedelic realm of some sort. The concept of jesters, clowns, jokers, all of those things. When you see cards and all of that, a deck of cards, all of those things came from the psychedelic realm. Somewhere in the ancient times, in the 1700s or 1500s, someone may have utilized a magic mushroom of some sort, seen some profound experiences, and then came back and then brought those things into fruition. Came back with the clown, which is the archetype of the trickster archetype. When you see a jester, if you take some shrooms and you see the jesters typically represent the matrix, which is, we know, is the fallacy of this illusion. And then the jesters, they kept saying nothing matters. Another thing they kept doing is giving me the middle finger. Now, we was taught that the middle finger mean F you, but what if it means something completely different in the psychedelic world, right? What if it means something completely different? And we was brainwashed to believe it mean F you, right? Because they kept doing this. They was laughing, doing this. They kept repeating nothing matters, nothing matters. That's all. And it was a jester, like a clown. kept saying nothing matters, nothing matters, nothing matters. Then I realized that he was referring to us believing that this construct is real. That we put all our ashe into the money system. We put all our energy into everything, how we look and all that, when we're just energy encapsulating the corporeal vessel for the time being.
Yeah.
And that we can manifest our reality.
Even that, like, the meals, like, who said, one day I was discussing with Calvin. I was like, who said that breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and we had to eat 3 meals? Like, who made that up? And then for breakfast we have to eat these foods, for lunch we got to eat this, and then dinner we eat, like, it's all programming. It's all programming that we follow these structures, we follow these rules, because that's all we know, is just that this is what we do. We get up in the morning or the rising, we eat this, then we do this, and then we go here.
It's 24
all
hours in a day. It's 60
24
seconds
hour
in a minute.
programming and distractions, right? To keep us from stepping into the highest version of who we truly are. The gods and goddesses that we truly are. A lot of us have been reincarnated, and we're here for this particular time to, help to activate and to continue to evolve on our own, and as well as to, play the role in elevating the collective. You know what I mean? And doing that.
Somebody said it's important for us to do the shadow work to avoid the Saturn moon matrix illusion. That's very true.
Very important.
That's
Shadow
very true.
work is important. We have to look at that version of ourselves in order to release and transmute that energy, so we can step into the highest version of ourselves. How can we step into the highest version of ourselves if we're stuck in the 3D, in the programming? So when we are faced with our shadow side, and I know I went through that. I went through, years ago, when I went through Kundalini, and I was doing it through a breath work, going within, which I'm going to be teaching at some point on YouTube, right? But so I reached Kundalini doing breath work, doing prana exercises. I actually, not long after that, started going through my whole shadow side. And it was not a fun part. A lot of things were coming back up for review, and I had to release that energy. I had to make amends. I apologized to myself. I had to love that version of myself at the young age, release that energy, and then also forgive myself and forgive, others, for the things and release and transmute that energy. And then continue. So shadow work is very, very important.
Yes, indeed. So I got some questions. Why do I get chills when talking to my higher self? Well, it's because of fear of the unknown. It's because you realize that that's a higher variant of you, and it is more to this illusion than you have been told. So naturally, chills come into play. That's associated with a little bit of nervous energy. Somebody asked, so when you said about the high beings, is that the 6D or is that 5D? It could be higher than anything above the 3-dimensional plane. It could be the fourth, the variant of you. Listen, check this out. When we talk about our higher self, I don't believe that our higher self just reside in one fragment or one dimension. I believe it's multiple. We have multiple higher selves. I will tell you that for every higher self, it's another version of that higher self that's even higher to get closest to source as possible. So I believe in each dimensional layer, there is a version of you that master another level of ascension, all the way till you get closest to source as possible. There's different variants of us that broke off into different timelines and dimensions. That's my theory.
Yeah, someone had said, how do I get that? They use our guilt to reincarnate us back for Loosh, doing shadow work, and releases those guilty. Yeah, I mean, the Loosh is a real thing. Loosh, for those that don't know what Loosh is, it's energy. It's the energy that we release, when we are so over emotional, and whether it's anger or fear, all that Loosh is what they feed off of, and it helps them to continue to keep this illusion going, right? And that's why it's really important to do the work to release and transmute energy, meditate, ground, connect with nature, do whatever you can to release the energy. And most importantly, remove the parasites. Because I can guarantee you, the parasites are leading us in a way where they control us, right? Just like the movie Men in Black I mentioned on one of the posts I did. The parasites can affect all parts of our body, including our brain, and make us have terrible thoughts and do things that we normally wouldn't do. So we have to detox from those as well. Release all of that. Go within and release all those energies so that we can be the highest version of ourselves, continue to align with the highest version of ourselves.
Somebody said they use our guilt, reincarnate us back. Somebody said, gotta stop eating meat. This is the thing. As far as the things you choose to eat, I always teach that there's no one size fits diet for all. So if you're eating certain things and you feel like it's lowering your frequency, then at that point, it's a message from your higher self to refrain from that particular food.
I don't understand what's going on with that. I think it just stopped.
I don't know. Just go back into it.
Mhm.
But I believe personally, there's no one size fits diet for all. I believe that we all stem from different parts of the cosmos, and then each of us require different sustenance based on the star system that we derive from.
1 second, guys. I'm gonna have to come.
Much love to y'all. When I get the chills, I look at it as my higher self, God, telling me He's present. Oh, okay. Well, the chills could be a number of things. The chills can also be a representation of another spiritual entity around you besides your higher self. Also, it could be ancestors. It could be other beings coming through. It can
I'm
even
gonna have to shut down for a minute and come back.
no problem. It can even be somebody astral traveling and just walking through. Again, I have walked through. I have been told when I get the chills, there's somebody walking through you. I have been told that when you get goosebumps like that a spirit just walked through your body. Some believe that. I know my grandmother used to say that a lot. That a spirit walked through you, baby.
I believe that too.
You
I
know.
also believe that maybe something's happening. Maybe I'm speaking too much truth because it just completely went off and just froze. So they're like, yeah, we can't be having to speak about all that on them.
Well, it's a lot of information that they don't want out to the populace. They don't want people knowing who they truly are.
Right.
They want us looking outside of ourselves. They want, and this is why a lot of the scientists are coming up, taken out. A lot of the people who all starred in Ancient Aliens are all taken out. Anyone that can really give you actual tutelage, all of the holistic doctors, we know they got taken out, like 50 or more holistic doctors got taken out. When I tell you to detox the body with things like chlorophyll, utilize zeolite, continue to purge out parasites, refrain from bioengineered genetically modified food. And the purpose of it is to override your genetic template. When I tell you these things, it's for a reason. What are the names of? I recommend box to box breathing technique. I recommend a dragon breathing technique. It seems like you already know. It seems like you're already on the right path. So just continue to go down the rabbit hole and research and go down the rabbit hole of breathing exercises. But the box breathing, the Wim Hof breathing method, the box breathing is 4 seconds in, 4 seconds out. And as you begin to do these breathing techniques, you begin to activate the Kundalini energy by way of primordial energy that's stored in a solar plexus chakra. All right. And you begin to facilitate that energy. And then that Kundalini serpent begin to rise from the base of the spine.
Peace, guys and goddesses. Somehow something happened with the live. It was interrupted. I'm logging back in on Instagram now. Sorry, y'all, but something happened. I had to restart and come back on. So maybe I was speaking too much truth. I don't know.
Yeah, they hate.
But they froze everything up. I couldn't even touch the screen, so I had to come off and come back on. So peace. He was dropping some gems just now. So and we were just talking about this whole, the whole reality. So you want to talk a little bit more about what you were just speaking on?
Yes, indeed. I was basically talking about how what was I saying in that last sentence? I'm reading this at the same time.
Okay.
Somebody was asking me about thoughts on fluoride and chlorine in the water.
Okay.
Fluoride, and you know the answer to that. Fluoride and chlorine is utilized as a neurotoxin to deter our ability from seeing through the matrix illusion. They contaminate the water purposely because, as the goddess mentioned, water is alive. It's sentient. We know Dr. Masaru Emoto conducted water experience where he would speak to the water. He would say high frequency things like love and peace to the water, and he would see a beautiful 6-pointed tetrahedron. Then he would see negative things to the water and see a discombobulated image. So when they utilize these deceptive toxins in the water, it's for the purpose of diminishing the life. Just like if they put fluoride and chlorine in us, it makes us sick. Water is living, water is alive. So the basis of them is to make the water dead water that we're consuming.
Right.
All right. So they killed the water.
And we speak life back into it, like you mentioned. When I tell you, I do every single day. I don't go a day or a night without going within, and connecting with water. Because we are water. You know what I mean? So we are water, and we speak into the water. We release through the water. The water's listening. Those water spirits that are in the water. Record memory and information. Everything is in the water. So.
Well, Gabriel Oyibo, the one who actually completed Einstein's theory, J, J = 0, the grand unified theorem, actually indicate that everything derived from hydrogen. And initially they called it Afrocrogen. which stood for Africa, the origin, indicating that all things derive from Africa. And he indicated that hydrogen stood for hide the origin. The etymology of hydrogen was because their objective was to hide the origin, but they changed it. Hydrogen was initially it was called Afro-Trojan before they changed the name to hydrogen. And according to Gabriel Oyibo, water is the only thing that should really be on the periodic table of the elements. Nothing else should really be on the periodic table of the elements because water is the epicenter of everything that's in creation. So again, when we come from the mother's womb, that's water. Our first home is a water. This is why when we talk about the concept of reptilian, Dr. York taught that all of us originally came in as like some kind of serpent being. We all have a reptilian brain. Everybody on the planet have a form of little reptilian in them. It's important to know that. All right. And the whole planet is a dragon planet. When we talk about Tiamat, it's a dragon planet. So the human, when we talk about the archetype of the human is light manifested into a corporeal vessel. With that being the case, light could take shape of anything. We are all shapeshifters in essence. I believe we all are. We just don't know how to tap into those parts of our brain. We kind of turned them off. But we can do everything. We can do, like we have, Dr. Drew Pookrum teach 7 circuits of the brain being all tied to different animal characteristics. Like we have a mammalian brain. We have an avian brain, which is somebody you may have heard the term bird brain before. Well, we all have that bird brain aspect, that avian brain, which is the 3rd circuit. Then we have an insect brain.
Somebody said it's reptilian, good or bad.
Reptilians are, everything has duality. Everything has polarity. Everything could be good or bad. It's good Lyrans. It's bad Lyrans. All right. We hear about all of these beings, and some beings will say are agreeable. Now, some beings evoluted to such a high level of consciousness where they're typically noted as being high vibrational beings like Arcturians and things of that nature. But just like there's good and bad in everything, there's certain beings that
there's even negative
Arcturians. Yes, exactly.
So in every being, every race, there is difference. There's good and bad in everything, and what it's all part of the experience. Learning too.
Ashe.
What is it? Do you feel disclosure is agenda because a lot of gods and goddesses reincarnated at this time? What do you mean? Do I feel it's an agenda? I believe that we are here during this time to help raise the consciousness and the frequency on Earth, so that we all evolve and all ascend, right? So I do believe that disclosure is imminent. We are in the age of Aquarius, right? So during this time, the age of Aquarius is known about disclosure. It's known about exposure. So it's about revealing all that has been hidden, all the truths coming to light. So being that we are in this age, we are here for a reason during this time, I believe, to, actually ascend in consciousness.
And so she said, do you feel disclosure is agenda because a lot of gods and goddesses reincarnated at this time? I feel like it's a mixture of both. I feel like their objective is to distract us with as much as possible. So I feel like they distort the truth a little bit. When we get into these scientists talking about ultra-terrestrials, and we get into certain individuals telling us to revert back to herbs and holistic doctors being unalive, it's primarily because they know that eventually, once we reach a certain level of intellect based on consciousness expansion, we're going to become aware of all of that. We're going to be thoroughly aware of that. Somebody said thoughts on sun or moon gazing. I believe sun and moon gazing is good. I personally believe that the moon is a draconian satellite and a soul harvesting tool that's been used, but it does have some good attributes to it that you can use as well. Just like everything has duality, I'm pretty sure it's positive components, but I prefer sun gazing more than moon gazing. Some say, the moon has nefarious components where some people go crazy from being under the moon a bit. This is why when it's a full moon, you hear a lot about people doing crazy stuff. This is because it's a draconian tool. This is where the term lunatic even come from. It comes from the moon, the term lunatic, because the moon is associated with psycho craziness. All right. But I love sun gazing. I believe it activates the pineal gland.
Me too.
And is the reptilian in us bad or good?
Oh, they already.
Reptilian.
You already answered.
I did. Yeah, I did. But the reptilian brain is really for protection. Some people demonize the reptilian brain, but that's not bad. If you walk in a room and you say, "Oh man, I got to get the hell out of here," that's your fight or flight kicking in, which is a thing that we need while we in this 3-dimensional construct. We need that. So don't demonize the reptilian sides of you. Embrace them and learn how to alchemize them to work in your favor.
Of twin souls, do y'all know is it possible to meet reincarnated version of you in an opposite polarity?
Yeah, I believe anything's possible.
Yeah, I think anything is possible. Yes, absolutely. I think that a lot of times, so as we evolve, we're learning lessons. See, I never really refer to anything as being good or bad. It's an experience, right? These are experiences meant for our growth. And how else are we going to learn unless we have these experiences? So we have different experiences with different people, different situations. We are, all the things that that we experience and encounter, we're going to either learn from them, or we're going to continue to repeat the loop, the cycle, until we continue to learn and we transmute that, we release it, and then we go on to the next. We evolve only through our lessons. So there's really no good or bad. There's only life lessons and experiences. So polarity exists in everything, as you mentioned. It exists in everything. But what are we going to do with that? Are we going to, be more of that light and get more back into the place of love? Or are we going to allow the other, side of us to, because we all have it in us, in each and every one of us.
Somebody asked
So
me
it's
my,
that.
my thoughts on astral projection. I astral project all the time. I talk about it in a lot of my videos. I'm a huge fan of
And this
astral
helps
projection.
too. Yeah.
This is the Astro Travelers tea that my goddess have.
We drink it every night.
It's called what's the name of the
Astro
tea?
Travelers
Astro
tea.
Travelers tea, and I like the extra strength version. The Astro Travelers tea is phenomenal.
I like the regular version. I don't like the extra strength, sorry, because the extra strength for me is a little bit bitter. And so I have a regular version and the extra strength. The extra strength has mugwort in it. Mugwort tends to be a little bit bitter, but he likes it, he drinks it. I like the regular version without the mugwort. Both of them are going to help you get into that relaxation state and get into that more lucid dream state. Now, somebody had asked me, how long does it take before I experience this and different things? And there's a lot of different components that make a difference. How clear out, how's your pineal? How calcified is it? Have you been doing anything to purge, and detox your body? Because the cleaner your vessel, the more you're going to have those experiences. And some people have the experience, right away, but some people it takes a little bit of time because the components in there also help to decalcify the pineal.
But astral projection is something that's essential. It's typically been demonized by most religious constructs. They'll say that something can hijack your body. That's not true. Astral projection will allow you to step outside this 3D construct and see other dimensional planes and other realities. You have the ability of, I'm literally visited multiple timelines where I can fly. Listen, there's realities where everything we do down here, we can do in those realities. Enjoy food, sex, go to the clubs, go to anything you could think about that you can do in this plane of existence exists in other dimensions where we're less dense, where we can fly and travel. I have been to these places. I see them all the time. And I'm talking about amazing fun that you can have in these alternate realities and alternate transcendental states of consciousness. This is why they demonize the concept of astral travel. Right. You can also remote view. Now, the military has utilized these things and things like the Cold War. They utilize remote viewing for government espionage to spy on other countries all the time. All right. So check this out. A lot of you are probably unfamiliar with the Montauk rupture. All right. For those that are unfamiliar with the Montauk Project, this was something that took place back in the 1950s. This is what the whole Stranger Things show is predicated on, right? And with the Montauk Project, it was they were opening gateways, wormholes, portals that had hydrogen colliders. And it was a situation where there were these individuals that they were working with, right? And these individuals had telekinetic and telepathic ability, which we all have, that they suppress, right? And these individuals, over a duration of days, they became so duress with all of the experimentations that what you're seeing on 11 that happened in Stranger Things when 11 went crazy and a whole laboratory collapsed and everything went mayhem. That's exactly what happened in the Montauk Project in the 1950s. 3 psychics with crazy telepathic ability destroyed the whole thing. They opened up a rupture in space and time, and it sucked a lot of crazy stuff through and caused time dilations from the 1950s. Some of those time loops, so some people think it's everything is certain, but it's not. A lot of the reality shift and change because of our thought patterns. We are that powerful where we can literally shift timelines based on our mind. We can cause an event to happen or undo an event with our mind because everything's electromagnetism.
That's why when millions of people come together and they meditate, for world peace or for anything, we shift things because we are that powerful, and that's what they want to stop. So that's why they utilize things like the 5G towers, 6G, 7G that's coming online. All of the things keep us distracted with work, keep us worrying about bills and all the stuff that they made up in this illusion for us. so that we never tap into our highest potential. And the only way we're going to do that is to continue to eliminate the toxins, detox our bodies, purge out all the stuff that's been holding us back, meditate, connect with nature, do all the things that they don't want us to do. They want to keep us in these boxed up, offices at work, so you never get any sun, right? You never get any exposure to any sunlight or anything. We have to, do the opposite. We got to break the cycle, and we have to get out the cycle, and we have to get back to ourselves. That's the only way that we're going to continue. But all of us together meditating about world peace, around, this new earth building, and bringing on something new for ourselves, where and getting it back to the way it truly was before everything got hijacked, then we'll do it. If enough of us do it, we can tip the scales.
And
back in our favor.
that's why I used to talk about guided meditations a lot, and speaking our request into the atmosphere. Like, for example, if we all get together, we get Tibetan singing bowls and crystal sound healing bowls, which are also great for destroying astral parasites and archons that tend to rest in your morphogenetic field. If you want to get a parasite out your morphogenetic field, or you want to heal or clear the deceptive air in your house, hit a sound bowl or hit a crystal bowl. Get that frequency going, because with them emanating deceptive frequencies from omnipresent radiation. When I say omnipresent, that means all the radiation that's around us on a consistent basis. Our tablets, our cell phones are all around us. They put these things around us, so we're consistently around deceptive radiation. And the reason why they elevated it, why it has become more pronounced, is because now with us raising in frequency, we're in what's called solar cycle 25, cosmic family, which means that the sun's activity is more pronounced than it has ever been. This is what the whole solar maximum is about. With us being in solar cycle 25, they can't really predict the trajectory of the solar flash. I hear people always ask me this, so they always ask me, when is the great solar flash? And what I tell them is, this is something that you have to get acquainted with nature to actually determine, because we can predict it being around 2030. Like, for example, some say the great solar flash could be 2026, this year. All right. But it's a situation where you have to kind of determine, it's hard to really predict exactly when the sun is going to emit a massive corona mass ejection.
I think, honestly, I never go with dates and timestamps, because
Me either.
again, we don't know. And I honestly, feel that what it is that when enough of us reach our frequency, enough of us awaken, right? Because we are energy and we are the powerful ones. So when enough of us awaken and we we continue to move towards the highest versions of ourselves, that's probably when things will get to the highest level, because we are the energy. We're the ones that are creating these solar flares. We're the ones, as we awaken and we put in the work. So the more that we do that, and the more that we evolve, we clear out ourselves, we cleanse our bodies, our vessels, then we will, in fact, then cause that solar flash to happen, is what I believe. It's us. So enough of us are awakened, and we continue to,
it's all contingent,
and this is contingent on that.
And this is also why they started utilizing sun simulators and things of that nature, and they cloud the sky with chemtrails. I'm gonna answer some of these questions real quick. Somebody said, does astral projection fall in the same category as remote viewing and Akashic records? Yes, to some degree. Remote viewing is sending a fragment of your consciousness to a particular location, while astral projection is projecting your whole etheric vessel out of your corporeal body for complete separation. And then that's where the silver energetic umbilical cord attaches. But did you have something called remote viewing? It's levels to it. You are all energy. When we talk about the string theory, which is a theory in quantum physics that basically teach that everything is attached, you can attach a fragment of your consciousness to a certain timeline and visit another area. You can mentally go into past, present, or future in remote view to see certain things without projecting your whole etheric body. That's the difference between the two. Somebody said, I really believe we are Anunnaki hybrids, but they are demonizing it. Also, cosmic titans have had that DNA. I believe a lot are carrying that DNA. I agree. I believe that we are the Anunnaki. When we talk about the malevolent factions of the Anunnaki, there were some nefarious breeds of the Anunnaki, right? Just like there's bad and good people, right? If we're remnants of the Anunnaki, because the way the Anunnaki story go, there were Denisovans, there were Neanderthals, there were beings that were pretty much covered in hair, allegedly, how the story went. And then these higher beings came down. They were taller, about 8, 9 foot, 10 foot tall even. And they had smooth skin. They said every other bipedal being that was on the planet prior to that was covered in completely covered in hair. And then they did this experimentation where Isis, which is Ishtar, right, the mother of fertility, right, or Ainana conceived what was called the hybrid, or this is why Genesis is Genesis, Isis, the genealogy of Isis. So the great mother, some say, the first mother that actually birthed humanity is Isis. Is really, that goes to Ainana or Ishtar. This is where Easter come into play. Ishtar is for Easter, which when we talk about Easter, it's about fertility. So it's really a representative of Ainana or the Ishtar or the Anunnaki. Now they tried to demonize her too. They try to demonize a lot of the Anunnaki pantheon, and it's primarily because I believe that they don't want us associating with it, because then we really remember who we are. I believe a lot of the stuff that's demonized, you need to look more at, because it's some reason that they're trying to spook it. They're trying to
exactly. Anytime they say look left, then look right. Anything that they've taught us, it's always going to be most likely the opposite of what it is. And like you mentioned, going within, connecting, and all that. When we start to do that more, the more we come online to remembrance. To reaching the Akashic record, so we remember who we are and who we've been in other lifetimes. I had an experience that I'm going to share on our podcast. We have a podcast that's going to be coming up, and we're going to talk about so much more information that we can't discuss on this channel. But I had an experience, where I was, told in a sense who I was, right? And I did this by going in, breath work, meditating, and then something happened, something happened, and then I was kind of led to some things. So, and that's some things we're going to discuss. So we are all, people that reincarnated. Many of us are, I should say, are gods and goddesses reincarnated.
Yeah, we are. Somebody asked me, it's a pretty good question. Why can some astral projection travelers can pick up things with their hands from the 3D and some people can't? All right, so here's something that I've noticed in a lot of my astral travel or astral projection experiences. Sometimes when I project out of my body, I'll be in a reality where I can pass through dense material, clearly walk through it. And then there's other times where I can touch something like a wall and I can't walk through it, where I bump right into it. My theory is that since we're all light, I believe that, so we start out as light, then we turn to sound, where we're vibrating at a certain frequency, then that sound is slowed down more and more until we become dense physical matter. However, when we astral travel, when we basically transition into our etheric body, I believe there's different light resonance templates, where we get into a certain light resonance where the light particles may be a little bit more scattered, and then sometimes they may be a little bit more dense. And I believe that we may encounter different spectrums of reality where our light fragmentation may be different from the reality, where we can walk through this wall at one instance. But then once we master how to properly facilitate our light particle fragmentation, then we can walk through the wall or whatever the case may be. But this all comes into fully learning how to navigate our astral body.
Somebody was asking about the astral projection.
Astral projection is good, but if you're not in tune, it will freak you out. You have to be calm. That's what anything in this existence, because of the indoctrination.
Right.
That's primarily because of the programming. The programming was made, and again, I talked about this earlier. Yes.
We have to release the fear. So if with anything, so if you are wanting to lucid dream or astral project and you want to start tapping in, you have to release the fear first. Because fear, you're going to attract things on that frequency, right? So once you release that fear and you're fearless in what you're getting into, and then also I always recommend imagine, a protective bubble all around you, and you have this, all around you, and your silver cord is attached to you as well all the time, right? Imagine that bubble around you of protection, and just release the fear and just experience. And that's the best way to go into it. But if you're fearful, I would recommend working on transmuting that energy first.
I'm going to tell you something. I'm going to keep it 100% real with you. I haven't fully mastered my fear yet, Cosmic Family. There's times I love astral travel. I try every single night to astral travel. Some nights I'm very successful. Some nights I can just lucid dream. There's differences to it. I'll get into the differences, right? But there's times I enter certain realities where I will enter it and get into the energy of fear and to be mad at myself later. Like, damn, why did I get scared, man? I should have stayed there, man. I'll be mad at myself. Because then we've been brainwashed into fear and the unknown.
So I mean about going into it. So going into it prior to doing it, if you're in a fearful state, but instead just when you do it, of course, we're going to reach things. We're going to experience fear because it's that programming is in us. Like you mentioned, and we have to just continue to work and transmute and release it. But yeah.
Once in a psychedelic experience, right? You get these gatekeepers, ancestors, spirit guides that will test you sometimes with fear And if you pass it, they'll say, okay, you're ready. So in my first magic mushroom experience, I had 5 grams. I was listening to Terrence McKenna. For those that are unfamiliar with Terrence McKenna, he's a psychonaut. He basically teaches about LSD, magic mushrooms, and these experiences. I don't condone them. This is just this is for entertainment purposes, YouTube. All right. So there's different psychonauts that teach these experiences, these altered states of consciousness. Again, I don't recommend them. This is just for entertainment purposes. And he teached that when you partake in what the 5 gram experience, he referred to it as the ego death. He referred, well, pardon me, the heroic dose. Pardon himself. All right, and this heroic dose basically would give you what's called an ego death. All right, where you would completely detach from the programmed 3-dimensional version of who you believe you are. Like me being Calvin Crippen in this 3D born in Buffalo, New York. I completely detach from that, and I'm no longer that. I'm just energetic, etheric, cosmic, primordial energy now experiencing life in a now, right? So once that happens, it's a situation where when we're experiencing that, we'll go through a situation where fear would come into play, and then we would remember something that we've been programmed, and it would limit us from seeing the unknown. But this time I passed. I didn't fall for the fear, and they said, and they said you passed, and they allowed me to get another level of information or cosmic data because I passed that test.
I had a similar experience, remember? I was
Hmm.
sharing about, like, I had where it was a being that came to me and said that it was something in front of me that was really scary. But I looked at it and I looked at it in the face, this being, and I wasn't afraid of it. I
Hmm.
wasn't afraid of what something I would have been afraid of before.
Hmm.
And I just looked at it and I was like, and then they said that, oh, wow, you leveled up,
Hmm.
you're ready, right? You're ready for what's next. So what that is, I don't know, but they did say that, that was, and that could have been my higher self coming to me saying that,
Hmm.
right? Because again, if it's us from the future, if our future selves, I'm gonna make sure I'm tapping in and trying to make sure that I'm evolving, by sending little messages and hints and maybe coming through the dream world and coming
Hmm.
through whatever to make sure that we stay on task to make sure that whatever happened, in a negative effect doesn't happen, right, in the
Hmm.
future. So
Hmm. And that's a fact. Somebody asked me, how can astral projection cause someone in a 3D body to get hot when they are asleep in the 3D world? So basically, what you're asking is, how can a person, when they're in an astral plane, why do their body get hot? This is attributed to Kundalini energy being facilitated through the base of the spine, which is that cerebral spinal fluid. So even though you're in the astros, you still are connected to a silver energetic umbilical cord, which is facilitating primordial cosmic information. And that's still going in your corporeal vessel. This is also why astral travel can allow you to tap into things like telepathy, telekinesis, and things of that nature. Once you delve into the Akashic records more and step outside your corporeal vessel, you begin to usurp primordial cosmic energy from into your astral body. So that's why you can
Somebody
still get
said,
hot.
I want the Blue Lotus because I'm not supposed to smoke weed right now. Blue Lotus is excellent. Damiana is also an excellent transition for that. And it's both smokable and drinkable. So it puts you into that relaxation state and also have it induces the lucid dreaming experience as well as astral projection. And I have that as well available.
Hmm. Hmm. Somebody said any info on the eye atlas. I personally feel like the whole 3-eye atlas was just code amongst the delete to actually speak in reference to the third eye activations. You mentioned the C1 vertebrae,
Yeah.
and you mentioned how the C1 vertebrae is right here. It's associated with third eye energy
With the
being
crown.
distributed to the crown,
Mhm.
and how that was all a big metaphor for third eye activations coming to line. I believe most of the meteor storm talk that they do, period, is just talk amongst the deletes when certain things are happening. So if they say, oh, we're receiving a meteor from the Pleiades or something, maybe those may be beings coming from a world that's associated with the Pleiades or something. I believe that that's all
In
code
code.
amongst the deletes that they
Exactly.
utilize.
Yeah, they speak in code like that amongst each other. So they knew that this time, their time is up, right?
Hmm.
And we've already won. We're just catching up. We're playing the part, and like our higher selves are leading us, and we are going to, no matter what, New Earth is here for those that want to partake. Now, there's a
Hmm.
lot of people that aren't meant to be a part of that, or just don't want to. There's the
Hmm.
NPCs that the non-playable characters that are not meant to, that they're here to be in the illusion. And then there's other individuals that are just not meant to awaken during that time. And we just
Hmm.
can't force people. But those that are meant, those are that are awakening during this time, then we're going to continue to evolve and we're going to continue to ascend, in this state. we've already won.
I'll say. I think the most important thing that we need to focus on right now is really tapping into our higher self and our inner work. It's the most important thing. Don't worry about any of the new things that are coming out or any false light, because there's going to be a lot of false light that's going to come out. The most thing that I recommend and I tell everybody is cleansing yourself, grounding, going outside, sun gazing, tapping in with cosmic celestial information and researching and learning. Cleansing your body, high alkaline, water with lemons. And I told you that after 12 hours of lemons and key limes or anything citrus sitting in water, it converts it to an alkaline substance.
And chlorophyll too.
Chlorophyll, I consume chlorophyll consistently. I highly recommend chlorophyll. Black seed oil prevents viral replication. All right. Grab yourself some black seed oil of oregano, holistic remedy. These things are essential for viral replication, and they also prevent cancer. Diseases like cancer.
And JRC.
All right. JRC.
We have a lot of some things that alike, but we also have things that are different on our site. So we set ourselves apart from some things. But we do kind of cross over a little bit on some things. But for the most part, we have a lot of variation on our sites in terms of the things that we hold.
Now, one thing I was talking about to a lot of the gods and goddesses that a lot of people are completely unaware of is aromatherapy healing. And I was explaining how her candles, when she utilized, and also spiritual baths. She has a spiritual bath component on JRC Collections that's phenomenal, because a lot of us, when we get in a spiritual bath, not only is it good for cleansing your auric field, but once you're in a steam, in a mist, it begins to pull out some of the metals out of you. All right. And
because it's mugwort and
the mugwort, blue lotus, a lot of other components that you have in there that are going to be essential for also cleansing the system. Then when you light the candles, I mentioned aromatherapy. When you smell and inhale and breathe through prana, we talked about prana earlier, you can activate DMT. Her candles are composed of all natural healing constituents that are essential for not only activating, changing, because her purity candle is one of the candles I love. Purity candles is composed of the dragon's blood resin, frankincense, which frankincense has been known to not only eliminate 99.6% of airborne pathogens, but it's also great for preventing viruses and bacterial airborne pathogens as well. All right. So when I like the purity candle, because not only is it good, and the dragon's blood resin, Cosmic family, do research on dragon's blood resin. Dragon's blood was known in the Canary Island in the 1500s. The Guanche tribes used it. It's to treat it when you cut it. It bleed red sap, Cosmic family. It bleed red sap. I have dragon blood on holistic remedies too. But her candles, the purity candle is composed of the dragon's blood resin, the Palo Santo, the sage, and it's essential for warding off malevolent spirit forces, evil spirits. Not only is it good for that, but the Guanche tribes will also use it to activate things like telepathy, telekinesis, and things of that nature. So activation of the power. So I highly recommend visiting JRC Collections to get the candles. And the candles aren't just good for smelling good. See, with Yankee, what's those companies called? They put parabens, phthalates, PFAs.
Victoria's Secret, Yankees, candles, all of the pretty much candles that you get over the counter, Bath and Body Works, they're filled with endocrine disruptors, chemicals, toxins, PFAs, all the things that are causing thyroid issues and causing cancers and things.
Allegedly. This is YouTube.
Allegedly.
This is YouTube.
Okay.
YouTube is a little more sensitive. So allegedly.
Okay.
Right? We'll say allegedly.
Right.
What if I told you that allegedly, I'll say allegedly. What if I told you that allegedly cancer was a business? It wasn't a disease. What if I told you it was a business and that there's other organizations allegedly in cahoots with them for this business to run? I'm talking about processed food companies. I'm talking about the companies where you're spraying your fragrances and your scents. What if I told you it was all man-made and induced to lower your frequency and actually ensure that your life expectancy was substantially lowered for the purpose of money, which is also a draconian tool to keep us entrenched in the root chakra, because the money isn't even backed by anything of intrinsic value. No gold or anything. It's fake. And then they will say allegedly they get us sick. Then allegedly they give us certain pharmaceuticals, all right, they are supposed to heal us allegedly, and then they keep us on a hamster wheel of fighting off these ailments and these inflictions. But what if I told you, hypothetically speaking, that there's an herb for every ailment that can heal you naturally and organically, right? So this is why I also talk about the use of chlorophyll. Now, in ancient times, our hemoglobin was chlorophyll. Y'all hear me talk about this all the time. When you see brown, black, and copper, this is attributed to our metallics rusting out. We used to have a magnesium molecule before it was converted to an iron molecule. Our giant trees that reached up to the ionosphere, when they were cut down, they changed the they changed the hydro atomic element in the atmosphere. They changed everything, and they made our bodies naturally convert to different colors. Oxygen we're not supposed to breathe in; it's a neurotoxin. And then all of these things substantially they degraded us and disconnected us.
That's why if you notice, if you wear certain rings sometimes, right, or certain things on your finger, you take them off, people are like, oh, my finger's green, or it turned a color, and we're thinking, oh, it's in the past from the ring itself, but no, that's actually the true colors. Our true colors are that. It's just when the oxygen gets cut off, right, from that finger, so then it turns green. So that's actually the real color of what we really are.
Well, it will reactivates the magnesium molecule in those particular areas, because magnesium is a mineral that we're very deficient of. A lot of you that don't have dreams, a lot of you that have sore bones and aches and all of that, is just magnesium deficiency. If you're waking up with lethargy and all of that, grab yourself some magnesium capsules. Link in bio. Get yourself some magnesium. Magnesium is going to be essential. Shilajit, sea moss, ormus. These are things that replenish your trace minerals to ensure that your magnesium molecule is functioning at optimal level. Chlorophyll is one of the best components, however. Because chlorophyll is the only difference is it contains a magnesium molecule versus the iron molecule. If you look at your hemoglobin under a microscope and you look at chlorophyll, they have the same melanin. Matter of fact, pardon me, melanin and chlorophyll has the same exact sacred geometry. They have they're exactly the same, which means this is why plants and stuff can flourish in the sun. We were green at one point. And we didn't need to eat. We were breatharians. We were photosynthians. We can just basically go outside in nature and absorb light, and was fine. We didn't have to eat. This whole planet became parasitic after the invasion, where even if you're a vegan, you're parasitic still, because you have to depend on the life and sustenance of that plant in order to have energy. But at one point, this planet wasn't parasitic when we were in our Lemurian light body state.
Sure.
And the ingredients you put in, like the spiritual bath. Well, the spiritual bath, she has all types of phenomenal components, lavender and stuff like that.
Yeah, so in the bag is comprised of blue lotus, mugwort. I have blue lotus, mugwort, chamomile, lavender, coconut milk. It's got amethyst crystals in there. It has a little bit of everything, everything that is essential for going within and inducing, and helping to decalcify the pineal and inducing that relaxation state and lucid state as well.
Ashe, she said our guided meditation actually helped her in the lower realms. Ashe.
Ashe.
Ashe, big Ashe. And this is something we gotta start doing again. We're gonna be doing more guided meditations for the collective. This is very important that we do this, Cosmic Family. We need to begin to speak and destroy their system. And I'm glad that our meditation helped you, Cosmic Family.
Is in a new cycle causing different behaviors in unprotected people. Yeah.
Unprotected and protected. If you're only we can make our protection come by way of how we act and function. But there's going to be a lot of sleeper cells. Unfortunately, this is a fear mongering that are activating.
And it's more about the frequency. So as well. So it's the sun, but the frequency. So heavy metals and toxins in the body, microplastics, things of that sort. People that have more that are going to be more easy to control with these frequencies through, 5G, 6G towers, all these things. They're, playing and manipulating things so that they can press these buttons and then they can activate people. So the less parasitic we are, the less that we have these toxins in our bodies, then we are not going to be able to be manipulated by those things.
Orgone is a very a high potent crystal that I recommend. Orgone is an energetic alchemist. I have these on Holistic Remedies too. All right. Orgone is the energetic alchemist. It literally has the ability of absorbing negative energy and converting it to positive orgone ether. Leave them around your nightstand. Leave them near your television. I told you about the copper bracelets. Get yourself some copper bracelets. Carbon 60. Yeah. I have carbon 60. Carbon 60 is composed of condensed shungite and provides cellular protection from deceptive radio frequencies and things of that nature. All right. Visit her website and grab the Astro Traveler's Tea. All right. She has a lot of different things on there associated for divine feminine health as well, for the goddesses that may be in different trimesters. All right. There's a lot of different herbs you can't take when you're on the first and second trimester and you're going through pregnancy. You shouldn't be detoxing. You shouldn't be cleansing the body. You should be fully focusing on what? Nourishing, right?
Yeah, nourishing the body instead of detoxing the body. We have to nourish the body and have the body, not in any kind of stress at all, any kind of stress. But yeah, we have a lot of the, I have a lot of things available on JRC Collections.
Mm-hmm.
Check it out as well. For the goddesses, but also for the gods as well.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I told you I had a dream about. Uh, had a dream
About you, and you were used a portal, and we were working with frequency, and it was a tuning technology we had in our wrist. That's crazy. She
It
told me she had a
is.
dream, and I was showing her how to manipulate frequency and things of that
Oh
nature
wow,
with some
that's
type of
interesting.
device. That means in that
That means it
reality,
happened.
I did that. That
Yeah,
that that dreams are alternate timelines.
I should.
They're windows to the multiverse. Whenever you have a dream and you remember it, you actually had a preview to the multiverse. So there's no such thing as subconstructs of our mind. These are actual realities that we exist in.
You should let your ether grow, God.
Ah,
Yeah.
Ashe, Ashe. What are
What
we
is trying to
trying to
remember?
remember about ourselves exactly? Well, we're trying to remember ourselves before the deceptive programming, is how I would answer that question.
Who you were before everything existed. All we know is what we were programmed to believe. So anything that they've told us, we were indoctrinated from the time we were in school,
Hmm.
right? So from the time that you were born, you came out and there was indoctrination. Everything changed. So all of those things that they've taught us, you'll recognize a lot of those things were false. They weren't true, right? So we're getting back to those layers of, peeling back the layers of the onion to getting back to our true selves,
Hmm.
who we truly were before all of the indoctrination. So
Ashe.
that's what we're getting back to. And that's how we step closer and closer into our higher versions of who we are.
Well, somebody asked me, what does it mean when people tell you you look younger than you were? That means you look younger. That means they're used to seeing people that apparently look like they're a little bit more aged than you are at your age. You think breatharian is achievable today? Yes, there are breatharians today. There are people that actually went 20 to 18 years with no food.
Hmm.
I forgot the guy's name. It's an Indian gentleman that studied Ayurvedic sciences and medicines that actually completely vowed to never eat again. And he's been doing it for a number of years. He drinks fluids and he doesn't eat food. All right. And he's been sustaining. So yes, I do believe is it obtainable. Everybody isn't built for it, however. That's the thing. I got to be real. We don't have the same anatomical makeup. No matter what you think, we may all look similar. We may all be bipedal. We walk upright, but we all derive from different star systems. Some of you may require different sustenance than others.
Right.
Some people require meat. Some people may have more reptilian in them, where they may require meat. Some people may be more Arcturian. Some people more Lyran. Some people more Telosian. Some people more Andromedan. So this whole planet was a huge eugenics testing facility by extraterrestrial biological entities, what they call the multi-dimensional beings, or the ultra terrestrials. Again, there's an amalgamation of different genetic templates on this planet, and that's what the whole Garden of Eden was about. It was about extraterrestrials actually doing tests and different things of that nature. So,
And what I think is also important is, we've been taught that everything is external. Everything is outside of ourselves. We have to do everything out when everything is internal. We just have to listen to that our intuition, that higher call in our voice that's inside and allow that to lead us. So, if you feel like when you eat certain things, it resonates with you more and you feel better when you then go for that. That's what you're supposed to do. If you're supposed to drink more water or have more, whatever it is, we just have to follow that voice. Everything external is, we have to quiet our minds, because those are all distractions, right? We have to really go within and spend time more listening to our higher selves and being guided back to whatever it is that you're supposed to do in order for you to continue to ascend in consciousness.
Ashe, Ashe. Somebody said, when I sleep, I travel to other star systems, and when I swim while sleeping, what does that mean? I mean, that means you're traveling. You know what that means? That means you're exploring those other realms, and you're viewing it. That density that you're navigating through is synonymous to water. So that's why you're moving through it in the sense of swimming. That reality remind you of water. I want to know why government doesn't let us communicate with dolphins. Primarily because dolphins have different information that stem from the aquatic underworld systems that we don't know about. There's cities and they talk about inner earth and all of that, but they never talk about the cities and worlds under the water. There's worlds under the water as well, right? And some say that there's more multitude of dolphins, and then there's some dolphins that are more related to mermaids that actually have the ability of communicating with mermaids and interacting with them. Dolphins also can interact with us and grow attachment to us. There was one lady in this particular situation that actually was said to have sexual intercourse with a dolphin of some sort. All right, a scientist that worked at this laboratory. She built a reaction or relationship with this dolphin, and the dolphin would communicate with her. The dolphin had the ability of clicking and communicating with her. They said when they fired her after finding out that she had this connection with it, then the dolphin unalived itself by pushing water in his blowhole the other way, and it unalived itself. But my theory is that they probably had some type of hybrid child or something like that, some kind of being or something like that they maybe probably kept alive in some subterranean base. Or dolphins make these clicking sounds that maybe they have the ability of waking up different parts of our brain that have been deactivated by the malevolent extraterrestrials. Maybe they say, oh, because dolphins are said to be from the Dogon tribe, heavily revered them from the Sirius star system. And these are beings that are very intelligent. They're very intelligent. So a lot of times when they're pregnant women and clicking sounds and stuff, they heal. They've been proven to heal the baby. They've been proven to teach. We probably learn more from them. So this is why they don't want us interacting with the dolphins. Let me see. I'm not seeing. Oh, some of these comments, Cosmic Family, are on YouTube. This is why.
That's why. Yeah,
I'm on YouTube.
He's on YouTube. I'm on Instagram.
So I'm reading comments on YouTube as well. Astral travel is well known. Most people forget they did. Let's see here.
Comments. I would like to remember my dreams. Okay, they said they would like to remember their dreams more. So in terms of remembering your dreams more, there's a lot of things you have to do. First, purging the body, detoxing the body, really working on your pineal, and also doing things to induce your dream state. So, as we mentioned, the Astral Traveler's Tea is great to drink before bed because it has blue lotus, damiana, and also has other, important flowers in there that are going to help you with that.
Visit JRC Collections and get the Astral Traveler's Tea. Tell them how your daughter wasn't remembering none of her dreams. And then she was like, Mom, I don't remember none of my dreams. She said, all right, baby, take some of this Astral Traveler's Tea. Right. And she said she was drinking the tea for a few days. And then she said she don't even drink it no more. And she's remembering her dreams every single night. Right. So grab yourself some Astral Traveler's Tea on JRC Collections.
Yeah, she said that, it just automatically, that the first night she drank it, she had some lucid dreams, right? And then she said that after that, she wouldn't be able to remember anything. So even days later, so she would have, the tea, and maybe 2 days she'll go without it, and then she would still be dreaming and still remembering her dreams. So she has a lot of dream recall since she started. So she drinks it like every other, night or so, because it does make you very relaxed. And so she stated that it's just really induced, and many people have stated that. I've had a lot of great, feedback on the tea. Damiana is also another great tea that will do the same things, but you have to really work on, it'll help you work on decalcifying and help you more into that, dream state.
I also, a lot of people are sleeping on sun gazing, the importance of sun gazing and stepping outside the constructs of blue light radiation that is meant to hinder our ability to access the piezoelectric activity that our magnetites and dendrites have naturally. So, all right, so I'll explain it in layman terms. So when we enter around light, we have piezoelectric microcrystals on our pineal gland called magnetites, dendrites, and calcites that are constantly absorbing light, constantly processing and absorbing light. And the pineal gland's primary function is secretion of melanin. All right, this is why it's the master gland. And that's the primary job of the pineal, is to secrete melanin. Melanin contains neurotransmitters, norepinephrine, dopamine, all of those, and that is primarily because once it secretes from the pineal, it's neuromelanin, and then it distributes throughout the body. So when you utilize certain herbs, it activates those piezoelectric crystals. But the more you go outside and get out in the sun, you begin to sun gaze, and now you absorb light photons, and those piezoelectric crystals absorb natural light as opposed to all of the blue light. The blue light is meant to disconnect you. The phones and all of that. Even though I'm in my phone and we use our devices, we have to remember that they're technological bioweapons. In essence, that's what they are. They're bioweapons meant to pretty much keep our connection from source limited, to keep us docile, to keep us in that fight or flight. That root chakra. Entities don't like the smell, keeps them away. What you say? I need help. I can't see the third eye at all. What you mean you can't see the third eye, family?
No, fear is hard.
I'm really needing that candle. Go to JRC Collections, Goddess, and grab that candle. That's going to be something you're going to definitely like.
It's
That
and talk about the fear. I wanted to say really quickly. Somebody said they struggle with the fear factor. We all have fear, but what we can do is we try to, and the more we go within, we meditate, we become masters, right? We have to master our emotions. We have to learn how to do that and recognize that fear is just false evidence appearing real. It's an illusion. It was part of the programming that was meant to keep us in this cycle of the same thing. So we just have to remember. I have to remember sometimes, right? We all do. We all fall, short of that and get into that. But we have to, when we recognize it, what's most important is becoming aware of the fear. When we become aware of the fear, then we can think, okay, where is that coming from? And then we have to work on targeting whatever that root cause is and transmuting that energy. Transmute it and release it. Do whatever it is to focus on that fear part and release that energy. I know easier said than done, and it takes time and practice, but we have to just recognize that it's all part of the illusion. There's really nothing to fear. They want to keep us in that state of fear so that we just never step into that version. If we stay in fear, doubt, anger, and we're not able to manage our emotions, they're feeding off of that. They love that. That's loose. They're going to keep it, the illusion going, and then we continue to stay in this repeated cycle. So we just have to really work hard at, realizing and recognizing where's it coming from. Where's that coming from, and work to target that. Go within and imagine releasing that energy out, and never to return. Send it out in love, transmute that energy back into love, because that's what we are, love. We're light. And of course, we have to have some of both, right? We can't just walk around as being all love and light all the time. We have to have some of the other, but it's about balance. Because we can't be all love and light, and we just can't be all, of the chaos energy. We have to be able to manage them, because we need chaos energy. We need that energy too, y'all. Don't get it twisted.
Unfortunately, we need it only while we in this three-dimensional plane. Once we evolve to the fifth dimension, we will be past this the realm that war.
And then we'll just continue to go up in the stages and elevate more and more consciousness. But right now, we just have to work on managing them both, so that we are, in balance, like the laws of Ma'at, everything within moderation and in balance. Right?
I'll show you. Somebody said, I heard deep downloads. Is that a sign of the Sirius star system? It could be. Listen, you got to remember, we derive from multiple star systems. It could be a sign from that you could be from. It depends on what star system you actually derive from. It depends on where you come from, what lineage if you resonate with Sirius, if Sirius resonates with you, then 9 times out of 10, you may have celestial backing there.
That's another thing. We can't doubt ourselves. Whatever what comes to us, what you feel strongly about, there's different things that could be your higher self coming to you and dropping you seeds about who you are, where you came from. So we all derive from different, star systems, as you mentioned.
Somebody said the corona mass ejection have been really strong. We can all feel it. Yeah, we can. The solar flares have been crazy. And this is one of the reasons now. Anytime there's a lot of things that's going on around the world, like this whole Trump thing and this fake assassination stuff, these are things that they utilize as distraction mechanisms, but people are waking up now. Nobody believes these things is real. Nobody believes these assassination attempts is real. We're all now becoming aware of the veil they try to put over our eyes. We know that they fake a lot of BS to keep us, they pretty much wanted to be like the Love of Hip Hop, like a reality show that we all, like, so we don't go inward and silence the mind. And I told y'all, doing things like, getting back to that point where we center ourselves, doing our ohms. Ohms is very helpful.
That was our first date. Our first date was ohms. We meditated and we sat and we closed our eyes, and that's what we did, on our first date. Was ohms, connecting and getting back to our higher self.
The ohms, and not too many people have a first date like that where they're sitting going om, and really, really clearing out the energy in a morphogenetic field. Because a lot of times, if you feel an energy of stress, if you feel an energy of anxiety, I want you to try that. All right. Next time you're overthinking a money matrix, or you're overthinking whatever, anything in this world, if somebody arguing with you, a family member, anything that's bothering you, I want you to take a second. I want you to detach from the reality, and I want you to and imagine yourself at the center of the universe, at the void, where only thing exists is you. And remember that you are all. You are the representation of all, and your emotions is energy emotion. So all you have to do is silence it, retrieve it back, and then realize that this whole thing is an illusion. You're going to raise your frequency substantially just by doing that. I promise you. Because most archons, they first settle in your morphogenetic field. And believe it or not, we only hear 20 hertz of what's around our auditory realm. Our auditory perception only stretch out about 20 hertz, which means it could be an archon right here, like, you ain't shit, you ain't nothing. And you won't hear it. You would just be wondering, man, why am I feeling down? This archon, you ain't gonna never be nothing. You ain't, and it's right here. But then when you hit a singing bar, go, you distort the harmonic resonance, and it pretty much makes that archon retreat. So a lot of times it's sound healing, which we can do with our own throat chakra.
Because wherever we put our energy is what we manifest. So, like you mentioned, all the distractions, everything on TV, Trump, everything has been a big distraction for us to, not go within, not remember who we are, that remember how powerful we are.
That's a lot of comments. I would do that. Did you guys meet at the expo or convention you guys did? We didn't. We didn't get a chance to do that convention. We had some, unfortunately, some deaths in the family that hindered us. But we're actually recalibrating ourselves to get that done now. And actually do a gathering where we get a chance to get up with the gods and goddesses. Did you guys meet at the expo? Oh yeah, yes, we did. At the Quantum Fest, yeah.
That's where we actually in the physical, but we knew each other, and from a very spiritual standpoint. But and nothing was,
we knew each other before that in other
Right.
timelines. To
In other
answer your
timelines,
question,
yeah.
we had multiple connections in past timelines before this current incarnation to really answer your question. If you really want the real answer,
How can I get open in Nigeria?
well, first and foremost, family, all the herbs that we make mention of, I believe, are available in Nigeria as well. Certain shipping is a little bit difficult for me in Africa.
So for me too. I've tried. We both
In
do
some
have
parts.
some international parts. So I've actually shipped something to, I think, South Africa before, but I haven't tried Nigeria. I can look into that, as well.
Now, somebody said this, babe. Check this out. Somebody said this, and this is something that I really wanted to shine light on. I'm glad you said this. Somebody said the Archon Sect life force for me kept real chill. They don't like me going into lucidity state too much. Now, it's important to know that a lot of these attacks in regards to the dream state is deceptive, omnipresent radiation. I have the electromagnetic blankets on Holistic Remedies that I got now. EMF protection blankets. Now, now, what if I told you that our dreams are being hijacked by agents, by dream agents? They don't really want you accessing the Akasha records. What if I told you that they had ways to actually bypass you in the dream realm, to where they can prevent you from doing certain things or hinder you in the dream world by way of the frequencies, and also prevent you from remembering dreams? So that's why I put the electromagnetic blankets on Holistic Remedies. That way, people, and they fit for twin size, queen size, king size, all size beds that have EMF protection in them. That way you can go to sleep without any of the archon frequencies or any of the EMF waves affecting you at night.
And we have them on our beds.
Yeah, we have them on our
On
bed.
and it is amazing as well. And also, I sleep with my copper on. We keep copper. I sleep with my copper on at night as well.
I have EMF hats too. For those that are interested in EMF protection, I have EMF hats, EMF scullies. I have the shungite pendants. These are all essential. Chelated copper is another thing you can take that protect your cell walls from omnipresent radiation. Again, I told you carbon 60 because it's composed of condensed shungite. Sometimes people even place a shungite crystal in their drinking water and allow it to soak because it actually has healing properties as well. So these are things really protecting ourselves from the omnipresent radiation. Allegedly is what we should be doing. I'll say allegedly. No, the first.
No, that was.
Let's see here.
I didn't even see.
Yeah. Just checking the comments. I was gonna, let's see here. It's crazy because I saw that in a dream. Perfect outfit in a couple. Ashe, Cosmic Family, big Ashe. But the best way to get your pineal gland open, for the question that the God asked in Nigeria, is just really detoxing the metals out of your body. All right, chlorophyll, cilantro, chlorella, those are natural chlorophyll components that are great for chelation therapy. A lot of the toxic metals that accumulate in our neurophysiology is associated with metals. The metals from the chemtrails, the metals in our irrigation systems, and all of that. So if you can really purge and detox your body, oftentimes that would also decalcify the pineal in the process.
How are the NPCs around you guys because you carry high frequency? NPCs are around everybody. They exist everywhere, right? The archons come and they come in the comments. They come around and they try to. Their main role is to kind of lower our frequency. But when you are aware of that, when you become more aware of it, you just delete, block, keep moving, and don't even pull your energy into it, because where the energy goes is where it flows, right? So we make sure that we rise above it, rise above the negativity, the all of that hate. That's not the frequency that we choose to be on. Everything is a choice. We choose to be on the timeline that is one of a higher frequency of love,
Hmm.
and understanding, and
Hmm.
and all of those. We don't really subscribe to any negative energy, and that's kind of how what we do. We continue just to do everything that we mention to the collective about doing. We do ourselves. So we do all of these things ourselves. We take the supplements, we sun gaze, we go out in nature, we
Hmm.
do the spiritual baths,
Hmm.
we do meditation, we even do pinot to pinot meditation. That's another thing that we've done. It's
Hmm.
so much has opened up,
Hmm.
for us when we've done that. So much one time it opened up for me, which was amazing,
Hmm.
when we were doing pineal to pineal, meditation. And in that meditation, as we were going within, actually, I saw Ra come
Hmm.
through.
Hmm.
Right, I went through a portal, and the portal was spinning and went down different colors, and I ended up right in front of Ra. Right, and he delivered me a really impactful message. Right,
Hmm.
that I'll never forget. But
Hmm.
so it's just a matter of just continuing to work on ourselves, and but we don't subscribe to negativity.
As far as NPCs, to answer your question in regards to why can I see the something she said something about NPCs around us. You got to remember
Mhm.
NPCs are everywhere. When we
Everywhere.
talk about NPCs, these are your non-playable characters, your Agent Smiths in the Matrix. When we think about Agent Smith, you remember Agent Smith could multiply. He had multiple Agent Smiths, and all you have to do is pretty much get close to them, and they'll multiply.
Mhm.
So when you picture that Agent Smith in the Matrix, that's basically the parasite, the virus in the Matrix that inserted itself. It pretty much distort
Right.
primordial source creation.
Yeah.
That was the objective of the Matrix. It was pretty much showing us that we are the one. So when you take we are the one in the Matrix. Pretty much, that's really, really what Neo was. The anagram of Neo was one. All right. So really, you are the only thing that matter in this reality. I know that sounds selfish, but when you analyze it from the perspective of your consciousness, you're creating your life as you go. The non-playable characters, you begin to see that they're just viruses or encryptions in the matrix that are utilized for methods of distortion, purposes of the distortion that were created by the CIA. All right. So it's more clones and non-playable characters in the world than organic people.
Ashe.
All right.
And somebody was saying that I choose me, but the matrix tries to kick you off your game. That's part of it, right? The part of it is recognizing that that is it. And then when you become aware, transmute that energy and get back to you. And know, because you know now. So that in itself shows that you're awake, and you realize that that is trying to do these things that take you off your game, so that you fall back into that old paradigm. But what's most important is to continue to work towards releasing and transmuting the energy, so that you don't slip back into the old version of yourself. Because it's going to be all these things that come up. We are all tested all the time. We
Hmm.
all have different levels. We never stop continue growing.
Hmm.
We never stop evolving.
Hmm.
No matter what, we continue to ascend until we make it back to source, essentially, right?
Ashe.
We continue to ascend. So we are all learning, and evolving. So those are all life experiences and lessons, and that we have to learn. But being aware is what's most important. Once you're aware, you already know what it is. So you can just, swerve that energy and get back on get back on track.
Ashe. Ashe. Somebody said, did the unconditional love and peace I experienced, did that come from my higher self or the God in the Bible? The God in the Bible is Enlil. The God in the Bible is a
Okay.
malevolent extraterrestrial. It's not the
Yes,
God in the
yes.
Bible is really the devil. What if I told you that? What if I told you the God in the Bible? Because the God in the Bible actually has more murders than anybody, than the devil. Right? And I mean, it is parts of the Bible where you see this so-called God talking about killing children, that men could take women for themselves and
Right,
all of
completely
that. You know what I
different.
mean? What loving God would do that? This was Enlil. Now, when we talk about the Anunnaki pantheon, it's important to know that now some of the beings actually had what we call the God complex, where they wanted to be worshipped, and some theorize that Marduk actually started had Akhenaten, which Marduk was Amun Ra, what reason why we end our prayers with Amen was Amun Ra, who was Marduk, who pretty much became obsessed and unalived, got rid of Tiamat, who was the personification of primordial divine creation, and then inserted the patriarchal system. It was a matriarchal system. then inserted a patriarchal system to rule with an iron fist. All right. So now some constructs of the Bible teach that Enlil is the devil, and then some parts is Marduk, because both of them were basically those beings that said they were jealous gods. They were the ones that were in the Bible. When you see, I'm a jealous God and don't worship any God, these were Anunnaki, these were extraterrestrials. Now, when they say other gods, right, it's because it were multiple extraterrestrials, multiple Anunnaki around at that time that multiple humans could look at and think that they was God. So at that time, Marduk was jealous of that. He was like, no, you are not to revere any other gods. I'm a jealous God. That's where that term came from. These are all extraterrestrials, cosmic family. So the God in the Bible, it's important to know, in the Bible was also taken from the Enuma Elish, the Mahabharata, it's so many, the Kabbalion, there's so many books that actually predate the Bible, that the Bible taken, that predate the Bible by tens and thousands of years, that they taken and pretty much changed and plagiarized from. So it's just important to know that.
Yeah, so we are fragments of source creation of all things. So, and therefore we are all gods and goddesses, because we are, I always say, like, when a dog has, when they give birth, they have puppies, and those puppies become dogs. Cats have kittens that become cats. If we're parts of source and fragments of source creation that is the God of all, then we are gods and goddesses.
Yeah. Let's see here. Somebody said, just no matter how archons attack, if you who remain standing, they stay strong and balanced. Listen to your inner voice. Silence is the key. Okay. Demiurge, fake god of the material world. I had a battle with Marduk on the Nibiru. I came with different fraction of Anunnaki with laser swords. They gave me a fruit that made me more powerful to defeat Marduk, and I won. Wow, that's interesting.
That's interesting.
That's very interesting. Gnosticism helped me. Enoch, Nag Hammadi. Yes, Gnosticism is it's where the Kabbalist teachings come from. It's a lot of information in Gnosticism. So I'm not saying that all information from the Bible is bad necessarily, because that's where a lot of the scriptures and come from, the Gnostic text, where they talk about Sophia, the archons, and the Yaldabaoth and the Abraxas and all of these things. These are all teachings that obviously predate the Bible. But then you have to remember, when the Council in Nicaea and these other, I'm gonna turn it ACM, and these other factions got a hold to it, they changed it.
Let me see. Did you sign a contract with them? Let me see. So he said, yep. Trying to stay focused and patient and know that everything has already happened. Absolutely. The world is catching up. Yep, we've already won. This is everything is just playing out in real time as part of the awakening. So that everybody can awaken, to, the highest version of ourselves. And that's how we bring in new earth, right? We are sharing new earth, that new timeline that is of peace and love. You might want to delete this.
Yeah, but yeah, it's a lot of what the heck is that person talking about? Oh yeah. But having a hard time. People around me keep trying to get me back into 9 to 5, but I refuse because I deserve better. But I keep manifesting and trying to understand everything happens in divine timing. Well, you have to remember that the people around you, most of the time, they're entrenched in the matrix and they are not fully aware of exactly what's going on. So a lot of those individuals are unfortunately tethered to this three-dimensional construct that's fallen, and they don't see what you see. So you just have to understand that those individuals are less knowledgeable, and they're some of them probably not even ancient souls. They're probably just you've been here multiple incarnations, so you realize what's going on and you see through the veil.
Right. I was in corporate for a long time myself, and being in that world, I just did it because that was part of the programming, right, at the time, and then whatever. But as you begin to awaken more and more, you start to come into your highest version of yourself, and you step more and more closer to that. You can't even be in that environment anymore. You recognize, you find ways, because we are all gifted. We all come with gifts. We all have something that we do really well, that we love to do, that is easy, that doesn't feel like work, right? And we have to just tap into that version of ourselves, because when we start putting energy into that version of ourselves, that's when we are able to that we grow it naturally. We attract more of those things, because many of those that are awakened are just meant for corporate. We're just not meant to be in that environment. we're meant to be a part of the mission and to grow and step into your purpose, right?
Somebody asked me thoughts on celibacy. I believe it's very important to balance your sacral energy, because that's what sex is. It's a sacred energy exchange. So I believe that celibacy is something that everybody should focus on practicing, because when we talk about your sexual energy, this is associated with your life force energy too. So celibacy is something that right now they're trying to promote. They over sexualize everything purposely, for the purpose of pretty much keeping individuals entrenched in their sacral chakra and their root and sacral chakra. So celibacy is something that's very good, because it allows you to build up life force energy. It allows you to build up that Kundalini energy. And for the guys, I know you can manifest a lot easier. The women are associated with primordial creation, which means that they can continuously gather that energy. But men, once we release our seed, we have to re-get it back. So if you just become entrenched with just sex consistently, your life force energy at some point gets very low, which means your signal gets low. So this is why semen retention is essential, and it strengthens your cosmic light body. You will notice you can travel more in your dreams. You ever been in a dream and you're running real slow? You just seem to can't move fast. This is attributed to the astral body, because that also requires energy. So if you notice, if you're moving different in the astral body, or your dream's not clear, pay attention to what you ate. Pay attention to if you had sex or if you ejaculated that day. Pay attention to all those things, because you'll notice that everything is associated with your astral body and your life force. So it's very important to preserve that energy and be careful who you sleep with. Recently, I learned that the Olympians ran during the War of the Titans and ran to Egypt and turned themselves into animals. Blew my mind, the connection there. That's very interesting.
Very interesting.
Very interesting. I never heard that one.
Me either. She said started to notice a lot of religions mimic each other. Same avatar, different names. Absolutely.
Yeah, but that's primarily because a lot of them are the same extraterrestrials that just spread out to different areas. Somebody may mention on my post that Zoroastrianism started a lot of those religious constructs, and that's the truth. And that's in Persia. If you go over into Persia and you look at Ahura Mazda, you will notice that he looks just like an Anunnaki from the Sumerian pantheon. And Arahim is the negative version, and that sounds like the Enki and Enlil story to me, the story of Zoroastrianism. So you got Ahura Mazda, who was a being that had the beard and everything. He had the winged disc, and then he have a being named Arahim, who was supposed to be the Melnelevin version. And some say that's Sauron, who was a Draco reptilian. That's a whole nother story. But they say that these two were, and then the one who created Ahura Mazda was supposedly this being named Zurvan with a lion head. The body of has a serpent wrapped around, and he has wings. Almost kind of remind me of Yaldabaoth, the Yaldabaoth story, right? So there's a lot of, we know for a fact that most religion was created by reptilians. I'm just gonna keep it real. And again, all reptilians aren't evil, but the ones that manipulated this matrix illusion are the ones that's responsible for religion, believe it or not. Y'all don't gotta believe me, but most of your religious texts all come from reptilian lineages. The concept of drinking out of the cup, the eating off the cracker, all of that are draconian practices. I personally don't like Gnostic. I mean, to each his own. There's certain information on each school of thought that you can extrapolate and benefit from.
Truth and lies and everything. They give us a little bit of a truth mixed in with a lot of lies. Found out that it's Horus. Artemis is Bastet, and Hermes is Thoth, and Isis was, which is compared to Hecate.
Yeah.
Then even have cons of her as Isis.
Yeah, and that's the Greek pantheon. So Artemis, and that's right, that's Bast, that's associated with the moon, and Hermes is Thoth, and Isis was compared to Hecate. They even have coins of her as Isis. Yes, and it's primarily because a lot of those scholars at the time were going over to Kemet to learn. Pythagoras and a lot of those ancient scholars, the ones that created the Pythagorean theorem, the ones that, a lot of those mathematics, they were going over to ancient Kemet and utilizing. They were studying Atlantis and everything. Let's see here. They were studying Atlantis and everything. They had knowledge on ancient Atlantis. They knew what was going on. A lot of that information, I believe that a lot of the information from Atlantis and a lot of those ancient relics are still being held by the Vatican and St. Peter's Basilica, allegedly, we'll say. High vibrational energy of divine insight, truth of awakening knowledge. This is a great live chat. Gratitude, Cosmic Family. Big Ashe.
Gratitude.
I'm gonna try to go live more often. I know I need to jump on here more often if I can. And build with the collective. I'm on 2 different chats, so if some of y'all ask questions and I don't see them, it's probably because I'm back and forth from different chats. So I'm not ignoring y'all.
So was you guys tapped in when you both met or informed the other? We were both tapped in. So I had my channel on TikTok, and he had his on, and he had his on all 3: TikTok, Facebook, Instagram. My channel was always about spirituality and about some of the same things. So that's what, kind of sparked a lot of things with us with our conversation and who we are. We both have backgrounds. I've had a lot of stories, a lot of extraterrestrial type, of encounters and different things. He was about astral. We're both about astral travel and lucid dreaming, and then we're both tapped in different ways. I experienced Kundalini, back in like 2018, 2019 through doing breath work. This is who I am. So I've been, on this voyage and evolving in consciousness for a very long time. So we both kind of met at the point in time when we were supposed to meet, because nothing is a coincidence, right? And then now we're just together evolving, as a divine feminine masculine energy. But yes, we were both tapped in. We've both been into spirituality, for some time now, to answer that question.
And just to delve into what she said a little bit more about connecting, you see the Merkaba behind us. That's the representation of divine masculine and feminine. Basically, the electric and magnetic part forming both tetrahedrons to form that Merkaba, which we all have the ability of activating. Once we fully align our chakras and pretty much facilitate our Kundalini energy properly, we can recalibrate the Merkaba. Credo Mutwa taught about how the goddesses actually had the ability of activating their Merkaba. The goddesses actually have a lot of powerful primordial cosmic energy, and it's stated that 2 goddesses have the ability of literally activating a Merkaba that's big enough to move 144,000. And the stories that before we inhabited this plane of existence, because I know some teach that, it's just a lot of theories out there, but some theorize that we were on Mars. Now some say that, well, it's not a planet, it's a land, whatever you want to call it. Some theorize that we inhabited a world called Mars, and that before it was uninhabitable, we left Mars, and when we left, that we activated a lot of the goddesses will activate the Merkaba, and they would move, and we are the ships. We are the ships. Our technology is that advanced.
I 100% believe that, because all of the orb activity that comes in and out, right? And this has happened since I was a young child, right? These orbs and different things that come around. I believe that those are the ships. They're the Merkabas. We are the ships that reduce to that orb. They can be small, or they can get really large. But that energy is us. Is we are light.
We are light. We are light and encapsulating these corporeal vessels. I had a cousin who was going to become a priest in the Catholic Church, and went to the school for many years. He ended up going to the Vatican and was there some time. When he came back from Italy, changed. I find out, okay, you guys have to download Gaia TV. So much information, you guys will love it. I had it Gaia TV before. I watched a few of his.
I used
some things I took from it.
Yeah, so we take from different things. Now for the Gaia channel, that was part of years ago when I was kind of coming in and I was learning a lot, and evolving and things of that sort. But I think the Gaia channel is compromised a little bit since then. I think it's a little bit of truths and lies mixed in with everything. So you just have to use your discernment with anything. Same thing with any spiritual teacher or anything that we are, because most of what we are led to believe and what we really should be learning comes from within, right? Following our higher selves and following what resonates the most with our frequency.
Yeah, I feel like Gaia later on down the line, David Wilcock even came out and was saying, again, Gaia has some good information, but David Wilcock came out and said that he was against Gaia. He was even stating that they had quote unquote Luciferian practices, and he basically was accusing them of having of agreeing with the Draconians. This isn't something I said. This is what David Wilcock said, and later he recanted his statement. All right. So I personally feel like he recanted his statement because it was something he was forced to do. I believe that he was forced, and then he ended up recanting his statement. Now, my thing with Gaia, I noticed, and again, I love all races. All right. There's some people have, some people even get mad at me because I'm not. They want me to be straight racist, like, oh, you're not supposed to, you supposed to not like the white man and all that. And I realized that when I first came into spirituality, I had that complex too. I had that too. I had to evolve past it. We get told things about, but let me not go too far. The Gaia, with a lot about Gaia. A lot of the times, a lot of their stuff was heavily Eurocentric. They would never show no kind of Afrocentric influence at all. You know what I mean? When they talk about even when they talk about the Anunnaki, which we know are beings that typically look more Nubian and Asian, South African and Asian descent, but they would still show them of Nubian of Eurocentric descent, which showed me that they had some type of energy there that they needed to transmute and heal. You know what I'm saying? So that's my other thing with Gaia. They don't have they don't mix up the variation to keep it real with how things look in ancient times. That's just facts. What does the silent sounds mean? Ringing, ringing could be adjusting in your frequency, adjusting a frequency you can hear. Because again, we don't hear everything around us. The whole auditory, our field of auditory perception is very limited. So sometimes we get privy to a little bit. Our ears may adjust to a certain frequency or vibration. Is what that means. What does everybody try to charge to help you awaken? I thought that knowledge was free. What do you mean? What do you mean that why does everybody charge? I don't know. I don't know why you asking that.
This live right now is
This
free.
you on this
This
live
is
for free right now, ain't you?
You're gaining the knowledge. Now, in terms of, the things that are offered, nothing, how can anybody just give any products out for free? Like, and you have to be a millionaire, billionaire. If I was a billionaire or millionaire, I would definitely be doing what I could to the collective to give things out. But the reality is we are still doing what we are supposed to be doing by providing the tools and resources to elevate consciousness. And it's a choice. Nobody has to do anything. It's a choice. You either utilize the tools and resources and get the tools needed.
He said we wanted a few people to do it.
Mhm.
Well, here's the thing.
Mhm.
I'm gonna say it like this. There are some people that will charge for certain things. I'm not here to bash them or nothing like that because I also believe in the law of reciprocity. I believe if somebody's doing their due diligence and their scholarship to teach you, and they're instructing you, they're creating videos, going down a rabbit hole to give you information. I believe there's nothing wrong with actually providing a little reciprocity to show that person that you're appreciative of their scholarship, or them actually jumping into those rabbit holes and going through those mystery systems that present you the information. Now, I don't believe in overcharging. I believe that but the same school systems, everything we go to, they charge you something. You go to college right now, they're going to charge you for all types of stuff. Now, I don't know if these people are charging like that, but again, I don't believe there's nothing wrong with providing a little, support to somebody that you like. Like if you have a teacher or a spiritual teacher that gives a lot of information, and they have a Cash App or a YouTube or a website or something you can purchase, and you really learned a lot from them. I don't believe there's nothing wrong with reciprocity, because then the universe then reciprocates it with you. Even if you go outside and you feed a bird or something, the universe is going to find a way to get that back. That's called the law of reciprocity. So I don't believe there's nothing wrong with that. When the podcast coming any day now, we're going to actually get the podcast. We just got a few technical things that we're getting done. But once it's fully done, we're going to be up, rocking and rolling with this podcast. Yeah. It's easy to place your hand now. I repeat, I speak to my third eye open so I can see. I mean, yes, you can demand your third eye to open, but it's only going to work so much with all of the toxic metals and fluoride and chemtrails and parasitic foods that they're feeding us. At some point, you're going to have to detox and purge your body to ensure that you can properly listen. When I tell you about the solar flares coming up, and I tell you to purge, I'm not just saying that to get sales on holistic remedies. I'm telling you to purge the metals out of your body, because the solar flares are about to ramp up. It's going to get real. And if you're walking around with thallium, barium, aluminum, fluoride on your pineal, when those solar flares start ramping up and they reach higher than what they ever seen, it's going to be a situation where some people, unfortunately, not going to make it.
I did a video recently talking about that, this guy was talking about it. He was a scientist talking about like what it's like, right? So it's like aluminum foil. You place it in a microwave, and you put any kind of aluminum foil, any kind of metal in a microwave, what's going to happen? It's going to explode, right? So unless we are detoxing and flushing those things out of our system, then that's kind of when that solar flash happens and that we heat up, that could potentially happen. But if we're flushing those things out of our system by utilization of things like chlorophyll and zeolite and things, and we're removing the heavy metals and toxins from our body, then we are, we're going to upgrade. We're going to get those cosmic activations in the right way and not, have it be harmful to us.
I'll show you. And see, not only the solar flares, Cosmic Family, I also want you to realize that the 5G towers are deceptive artificial radiation that they're attacking us with the metals in our body. This is how they're implementing voice to skull technology and activating sleeper cells and things of that nature. It's by way of deceptive wavelength frequency. So by cleansing and purging your body, you make it harder for them to control you. You make it harder for them to hack into your dreams. You make it harder for them to pretty much affect your ability to ascend to Christ consciousness by keeping your avatar cleansed. All right. So this is why it's very important that we're detoxing and purging our system. I've detoxed my pineal. Ashe. Yes, lots of chlorophyll. I highly recommend consuming chlorophyll because it contains the organic fat substance to remove the microplastics and metals out of your body. Follow your heart in love, Ashe. Yes, indeed.
Ashe. Love is what's most important. We've gotten away from the love frequency. And that's what they wanted us to do, right? Spend more time gossiping, talking about people, pointing out, what's wrong and all. It's all part of the programming. We are here evolving, and we are all learning. Nobody is perfect. We all are flawed. But what we can do is continue to work on ourselves and transmute the energy and release the programming. We are all evolving at our own time and our own rate or whatever. And the only thing that we can do is just continue to work on ourselves and stay out of why do I care about what somebody else is doing or how they're moving or what they're not doing or whatever? We have to really manage ourselves and our emotions and really work on our own selves to release that energy. Because all of that is just, part of the 3D. So love, we've gotten away from the love frequency. And that's what's most important. We have to love ourselves, most importantly, right? And then, love each other. Release that energy. Now, just one thing is really key though. When you're around people, places and things that are low vibrational, low frequency, they are just negative, you can release them in love. They don't need to be around us. Release them in love and just keep it moving. But, not hold on to that energy and that frequency. Transmute that energy, transmute it back, release it, and then keep, evolving and working on yourself. Let it go because all of it is part of the 3D construct that keeps us tethered to the 3D.
Ashe. Big Ashe. Big Ashe. I'm just looking here. I'm just reading the comments, Cosmic Family, so just bear with me. Okay. We recently had runs with elements and mimics and skinwalkers out here off grid. I had a great try talking to me a month ago because it wanted to know who and how I had my gifts. Wow. So you off grid and you're noticing these things, and the gray is communicating with you, skinwalkers. And these all of these things are prevalent because and it's primarily a lot of them don't come into the city and because of the frequencies, believe it or not. They can hear a lot of the 5G, 6G, so they'll stay away. But when you go out in the woods or out in the boonies, far out, you'll start seeing UFOs. The lights move a little bit different.
The stars are even brighter.
UFO, I mean, Bigfoot. We was out in Broken Bow, Oklahoma. And, she witnessed a Bigfoot as well as a duende. All right, I'm playing the sound bus on my head down. And I seen something tall, but I didn't get to see it that quick. Now, some say that the Bigfoot, Dr. York called them the Shaggies, they can walk in between dimensions. Some say that they come from the constellation of Orion. Others believe that they're beings that were here before the Anunnaki project. It's a lot of different theories about them. But some theorize that they can open portals and walk between dimensions, and then they're very intelligent. All right, but they're known to be in Broken Bow, Oklahoma. We were out there, and as I was playing with the crystal singing bowl, she said she seen a duende or like a gnome or elf kind of wave and vibe into the frequency. Yeah. And this was out in the boonies. They don't really come around humans, around humanities or big cities. Maybe once in a while you may see something, and if you probably do it, 9 times out of 10 it's you from another reality or somebody at your cosmic celestial family that wants you to see them for some reason. It could be you from another timeline, though. So, yeah, I had my gifts since I was a kid, and 37 years later, I fully embrace my gifts, and other beings are now up in my face.
I share the same.
That's powerful. That's very powerful. Let's see here. I had a dream. Someone came to me that I looked of a goddess or something who said, "Arise, my king." What that mean? I mean, what you think it mean? It mean what it mean. When somebody asks me what that mean, I think that they want me to give them a different perception of what they already know. Sometimes when they ask me that, it means what it said. What she said. You had that dream. You was in a transcendental state of consciousness, and you looked at a goddess of some sort, and she said, "Arise, my king." Which means that it's another version of you that has to become aware of who you truly are, and that you're still asleep because of this 3D simulation, this Saturn moon matrix false light simulation. And then once you're fully aware who you are, you're going to be more aware of what's going on. That's what that means, I believe. Let's see here. We're going to probably be off of here in a little while. We just wanted to come in here and build with y'all real quick, tap in with the collective.
I've been seeing a little of reels on the cabbage babies and the big reset in the 1800s and what happened to the babies. Yeah, I did a video about that, about the cabbage patch babies, and how actually they made the dolls. They actually, mimic us all the time. So they made these dolls with the birth certificates and all of that. But there's, if you research it and you go down that rabbit hole, you'll find out that there was a reset, right? And during this reset, these incubator babies that were made, and I even saw something recently that is even talking about how they were they were just delivered like the storks and things like that. So how we seen growing up, cartoons and different things like that, they talked about the storks, right? And how these babies were delivered and by storks, but of course not by the storks, but these babies were literally landing up on people's doorsteps in a sense. And then they mixed them into reality. So these are babies that, the Cabbage Patch Kids have no, they don't come from source, right? They don't come from source creation. They were created. And they were created to be mixed into the reality. And that's a whole another rabbit hole to go down.
Well, just to elaborate a little bit on the Cabbage Patch Kids, they were pretty much cloned after a reset. Okay, so when we talk about the Tatarian reset, there were they have a lot of ancient technology. We used a higher percentage of our brain at one point before the invasion. We've been substantially reduced but from what we are. And the ancient Tataria, they walk with giants. They have free power, they have free energy. Not only did they have free energy, they had amethyst healing towers, quartz crystal healing towers. They had something called the Zularov guitar where they can
bells everywhere.
The bells were associated with the Tartarian Empire. This was predicated. Everything is based on frequency. Again, we started out as light, we slowed down to sound, and then vibrated into physicality. We're all sound and light is what we are. We can heal through sound and light in order to pretty much get closer back to Christ consciousness. So when this invasion took place in ancient Tataria, some allege that portals opened up over Nuremberg, Germany. The war in Nuremberg, Germany, I believe was, they said 1563. Portals opened up, and they say that the draconian ships will come right through. And I personally feel like this is when the reset happened. And then after eliminating all of those people, they had to make clones with no genetic memory, to wipe the slate clean, so they didn't have any Akashic records to the previous timeline. So that's how they pretty much eliminated that timeline, then created the Cabbage Patch Kids who had no genetic memory, no soul architecture, and then inserted them in our world. And I believe a lot of that was in America, believe it or not. I believe a lot of that, they say it's in Eurasia and Russia and UK, but I believe Tataria was all over this whole planet. I believe everywhere. This is why you can see a Vatican, a church cathedral with the Tartarian technology in everywhere you go. There was heavily in St. Louis. They was everywhere.
And there's many pyramids that are all over the United States. So I mean, that in itself shows that it was we were everywhere.
We were everywhere. And after they did the reset, they changed everything. They completely got rid of the bell. And I believe we're still going through a reset. How about that? I believe we're still in the midst of the reset. With the 5G, with everything, it's just a slow process that we're living in the midst of, and we're all caught in the midst of a big galactic war that's taking place between the Dracos, the Lyrans, and all of these ultra terrestrials are still going to war, and we're silently in the middle of it. Yeah. Sometimes I hear thunder over my head with no rainfall. They put chemtrails over us, blanket to talk of chemtrails, so we can't see the ships flying over us, bombing and blowing up everything. I seen. Y'all. Some people might think I'm crazy. I have seen experienced a transcendental state of consciousness where I seen black people on ships, people that look just like us. Some had braids, some had waves, some had locks. They were all different complexions, but they looked just like us, and they were on ships, and they were flying and operating and piloting these ships. Cosmic family, this is a fact. So I personally believe a lot of the UFO disclosure and all of that information wasn't disclosed because they didn't want us to see us coming off them ships. They wanted to hide us from us. So they kept it a secret, put little green men out, and didn't want us to think that really it's beings that look just like us operating those ships. Right? So I personally feel like that. And I personally feel like we're still in the midst of that reset. And every once in a while, we'll hear the wars or things happening over our head, or sometimes we'll have a dream where we'll remember being an ancient Kemet, or we'll see ourselves on a ship. I have seen the ships. I have seen us with powers destroying their shit. I've seen the timelines. I listen. It's not a joke when I tell you it's a timeline where we all activate and we completely collapse this system. Now, I had the experience on through psychedelics before, but I also seen it with no psychedelics in a regular astral projection experience, drinking Blue Lotus. I drank some Blue Lotus. I went to sleep. I went through like a portal, what it appeared to be like a portal. I come out on the other end of the portal, and it's a bunch of what look like metahumans floating in the air. They all got powers and everything, and the government shooting missiles, rockets, and everything at us, and they can't hurt us.
So have you been on the ship and healing chambers? So I've been lucid, and I actually had an experience that I shared about the healing chambers, where I had a situation where I was asleep. I drank some tea, and I went into that lucid dream state. And when I was in a lucid dream state, I remember these beings speaking to me. Now, I didn't see them. They were very translucent beings. I did not see them, but I knew and felt their presence. And then during that time, I was taken right into this mountainous area where it was like way off, and they had healing chambers. And they communicated to me to get in the healing chambers. I went in the healing chambers, and they were like, "You're going to be restored. Everything is going to be, beautiful." So I did that. I felt lighter. I went and also visited some other realm, right, where there was a lot of Afrocentric beings, right? Melanated beings that were very shy. So there's a lot of, and I believe that really happened. I believe it really happened. I don't believe it was a dream. I believe that I was literally taken there. I was placed in these beautiful healing chambers, and everything that I had a post about it. The way I depicted it looked exactly like what I experienced. So, we're experiencing different versions of ourselves at all times, kind of merging with the version of ourselves right now, right?
What did you say the name of that planet was that you went to? What was the name of that planet?
It was
Eridak or something like that?
Eridak. It was called Eridak is what they told me. And it had purplish skies and this beautiful purplish fuchsia kind of moon that kind of glowed. But it was really beautiful, and it was very peaceful. So why they took me there, I don't know. But I felt like that whole experience was real. Many of us are experiencing these things. Some of us remember, some of us forget. But we're all experiencing, astral projection, whether you remember it or not. We have to really work on detoxing and, our pineals, and really detoxing the parasites and things of that sort, and drinking, the right components of chlorophyll, different things, so that we can clear our vessel, so we have more of these experiences.
That's amazing.
And that we remember, because we're having the experiences that we remember, actually.
Some just said my mind took me to a glowing green pyramid when I walked, and I came to a corridor with doors, 3 different sets. Choose door 3, 6, and 9. And I walked in, and I turned around, and something was behind me. That's interesting.
Wow.
That's interesting.
That is interesting.
And these are all alternate states of consciousness that we experience. We've been led to believe that dreams are subconstructs of our mind, but they're not. They're not. I don't know what that period. That's why I didn't even read it. I don't even. If something looks peculiar, don't even read it out loud. Sometimes it be trolls. But I personally feel like we're all. Anytime we experience those dreams, or what we've been told, our dreams are windows to the multiverse. And as we excel in consciousness, We're learning how to control those realities more and to merge them better. As we ascend, and once we fully break through this three-dimensional paradigm, we're going to have the ability of elevating to those realities where we can fully do everything that we can do in those realms as far as flying, telepathy, telekinesis, because all those things are obtainable and things that we actually have. And this is why the things like the Montauk Project took place, where they were experimenting with people. Then once they seen, check this out, Cosmic Family, and I'll say allegedly for this act. Once the Central Intelligence Agency, all right, who I personally theorize, job is to study our central nervous system. I personally feel like it. I feel like that once they seen how powerful we are via telepathy, telekinesis, and we can do all these things, this is when I believe that they started pumping out the chemtrails, when they started pumping out the fluoridated water, when they started utilizing genetically modified organisms to override our genetic template. All of these things were done because they know if they leave us alone, we're going to be too insanely powerful.
So what advice do you have for detoxing and focusing on your purpose for expectant mothers? So for expectant mothers, I don't recommend detoxing. I recommend nourishing the body, nourishing yourself, going out, grounding, connecting. Sun gazing is great. I have a nourishing tea for pregnant mothers in the two different trimesters, the first and the second and third trimester, and those are all about nourishing the body during that process. But detoxing shouldn't be done until after you deliver.
So she want to know about your experience more with Ra.
Ra,
So
okay.
she's interested in how now. Explain, how did Ra look when you actually seen Ra?
Okay. So this is really interesting. So when at the very first sight, when he came through the portal, believe it or not, he had more of a lioness. He looked more like a lion, right, at first, but then he transformed from a lion into this beautiful melanated golden being that was completely gold all around. He was glowing gold, and his eyes were very piercing, very big eyes. But he was golden. He had hair all around like a mane. So he transformed from this lion, looking being to this melanated golden being there, and he was just glowing in gold, and you could feel the presence, this strong presence, from him, in a mane all around, long beard, all the face and all around the hair. So
And you said he was real muscular and he was
real
massive
muscular,
like a giant, right?
massive like a giant, sitting down.
With gold chains on and stuff like that, jewelry.
Everything. He was completely golden. Everything was golden and glowing that golden,
Mhm.
color. But he was a lion at first that transformed into, and then I could see more of, who he was. So that's
Mhm.
kind of how he looked.
That's powerful. That's very powerful. And that was a pineal to pineal meditation that we
That we
did.
did.
All right. We set pineal to pineal like this. My pineal touching her pineal. And when that's happening, while that's occurring, I'm doing the ohms. I'm going om. And I do that as the whole time we're doing it. We just sit there and I'll go through the om.
vibration
The
and the
om.
frequency.
And then as we do the breaths and we continue to go through the frequency, she explained that eventually a portal opens up. This is something we all can do. We all have the ability of doing these things. When I sit quiet and I close my eyes, one of the things I first feel when I'm about to take off is I feel the room spinning, because we're not the body.
We're not.
This is the thing you have to remember. You're not the bodies. Now, a lot of gods and goddesses that hit me up, they hear my lectures and they say, yo, I tried the Blue Lotus. I was about to leave my body and then I got scared. I got scared. I got back in my body and I'm like, well, this is the thing that religious constructs force you to do. They demonize astral projection. So then once you feel, because the first thing you're going to feel when you're about to get out of body is a vibratory resonance. You're going to hear a frequency that you never heard before. You're going to hear sounds. You may even see things in your house or in your area. There's been times my eyes completely closed, right? Because there's dimensions that overlap ours, where you will see something in your reality. Right now, while I'm in this room, there's other people, believe it or not, in this house, in this same room, walking around doing something else, just in a different dimension.
Right.
If I were to synchronize my mind to that dimensional plane, I would be able to see what's going on there. This is what we all can do through astral travel, remote viewing, and the CIA know this. They know all of this. This is why they have to desecrate our food and poison us and ensure that we don't reach that level. Once we reach a certain level of alkalinity and electromagnetism and that spark, this is why they put rubber in our shoes, all of that. We're electromagnetic beings. All right. So once we recalibrate that electromagnetism and we begin to connect with nature, we begin to silence the mind, undo the programming, We have the ability of fully acquainting with our the higher celestial version of ourselves.
Right.
I've rescued birds and other animals for 20 years now. Random animals stare at me and send the gratitude, love vibration that I can feel from my energy. That's beautiful. I guess everyone's saying they travel to these places is crystallizing. You can't go to these places unless the Taurus Merkaba is activated. All those substances are hacks. That's not true. That's your theory. That's your theory that you're stating. We're all infinite primordial source energy that's just encapsulated in these bodies. We're light. They condense into sound and then slow down in vibratory resonance. We at any time have the ability of separating from these corporeal vessels and stepping outside this body, this vehicle. It's just a vehicle. Just like you can get in your car and step out, we can do the same thing with these bodies. See, when you do those things.
But our Merkabas do get activated during that time. I think that's what you said.
So let me see. I guess everyone's saying they traveled to these places is crystallizing. You can't go to these places unless the Taurus Merkaba is activated. All those substances are hacks. Now here's the thing. What he's saying is you have to fully activate your Merkaba in order, and I beg to differ. I believe that when you activate your Merkaba, you can go to higher dimensional planes of consciousness, but I believe that before the Merkaba is fully activated, you're relegated to certain other dimensions because we're all light in essence. So we can travel to other ones, but then once you fully activate the Merkaba, you can go even farther, just like getting your passport. Yeah. You can travel now, but then when you get your passport, now you can go out of the country. That's the same thing. It's the same, and they use that as an analogy because I travel all the time. What y'all think of King Yahweh being enlisted? Enlisted in what? I don't know. That's me on your shirt, Holistic Ashe. Ashe. Also stood at the opening of a spinning portal with the green and black stripes. I heard a feminine voice and got scared and woke up. Wow. See, if you would have stayed, you probably would have learned something different. A lot of times when we get scared, the ancestors say he ain't ready yet. The spirit guides be like, okay, they not ready yet. And they'll wait forever. We may not ever get that experience again. To them, they'll be like, I'll come back to them. And to them, it may be a little time, but they may not come again in 1,000 years. For them, it's no time though. They'll be like, I'll come back to them again. And then when you be like, damn, man, but that's why fear can hinder you from ascension. So a lot of times those could be celestials or spirit guides testing you sometimes to see if you go into the energy of fight or flight. I love all your videos. I share every time. I share gratitude. I've seen my higher self. He was ultraviolet, told me he was the living God. Wow, that's powerful. We all are fragments of source. I don't think that's far-fetched, Cosmic Family. I don't. I believe we all are fragments of source. And the source just said, you know what, I'm going to break myself into multiple increments so I can learn and experience these things. Because I'm just, if you were source, what would you do? You'll be bored just sitting there. What you going to do? You're the creator of everything in existence. So we are source experience in life.
Greetings, love both of you. Thanks for all the information on detoxing slowly. Ashe, gratitude.
Ashe, big Ashe.
Peace and love to you.
I saw Ma Kali, she definitely fighting lower entities. I remember military. Ashe. Ashe. One time I felt the Merkaba, but I felt like tons of radiation, so I let it happen naturally. The thing is, when you get into those experiences, Cosmic Family, to try to completely go with it, just submit and just go with it. Remember, the energy doesn't die, it only recycles. So you're not going to die. Whatever happens, you're not going to die from it. That's what the biggest thing you have to tell yourself. No matter what happens, I'm not going to die from this with what's going to take place. I'm not going to die from it. I'm not going to die from it. And just keep repeating it. There's so many times that I got, just like there's times where I was upset that I got scared. There's times that I was happy that I faced my fears too. Like, yes, I was about to leave out a dream and then I stayed in it and seen something that taught me something that I was able to learn from, So fight your fears. Most fears are tools of indoctrination to keep you from seeing more of your higher self. What's up, big bro, big sis? If you can say one thing that you knew everyone would hear, what would it be? If we could say one thing that we knew everyone would hear, it'd be everything we're saying right now. It'd be everything we're saying right now, to believe that you are the God or goddess that you've been looking for, to continue to detox and purge your system, to continue to cleanse your avatar, to realize that you are the Avengers, you are the X-Men, you are all these characters that they deemed as fiction that they've just been suppressing this whole time.
Remembering who you are.
Mhm.
And we have to get back to that remembrance. And the only way we're going to do that is to remove all the distractions and to continue to work on our bodies. We work on our mind, body, and soul. You know, remembering we're light. We're not this vessel. We chose this. This is part of the experience. We are not this. We're so much more than that. So, and how do we, you know, get back to that? We have to, you know, train our manage our emotions, balance everything, you know, continue to connect and work on ourselves, releasing and removing all the stuff that they're pushing out. They're pushing out all these toxins and all these things, all these, everything is meant to keep us from evolving because they
Mhm.
know who we are. So
That's right.
we just have to wake up into that remembrance and continue to do what we do so that we evolve despite what they are doing.
Ashe. And another thing, the real important thing, the spirit just jumped at me and said, you should say this, is love and to not focus on any constructs that keep you. So when we talk about racism and a lot of the things that separate us in this plane of existence, there's a lot of people in the spiritual community that are flat out racist that will tell you that they're racist. And how can you ascend to Christ consciousness if you are still in three-dimensional ways of thinking? Now, when you first come into spirituality, there are certain demons that you're going to have to wrestle with in order to ascend to higher levels of thinking. Once you begin to astral project, once you begin to leave your corporeal vessel, you're going to enter realms where there's beings that of different color. I have been on ships where I've seen Palladians. I've seen people that's a pale white as snow, and then I see beings that's black as obsidian. I see beings that's blue as a smurf. Some beings that's green. I see all different color beings in these different realms. So once you begin to realize that, you begin to realize that, wow, the body, a lot of us argue and overanalyze the physical corporeal body. And some people will even have hold on to three-dimensional constructs that draconians created, like the concept of racism, superiority complex. I'm better because I'm black. I'm better because I'm nine ether. All of that. I've been through all of those things. When I tell y'all, I went through the I'm better because I'm nine ether phase. I went through I don't like Eurocentric people because I'm learning this information from Bobby Hemmett phase. I went through all of that. But then once you get to a certain pinnacle of consciousness, you realize that love is the epicenter of growth and development and ascension. When I came in contact with these extraterrestrial beings, I always tell the story how they told me that love is going to be the only thing that mattered during a great awakening, during a great war. It's going to be a great war that's going to take place.
It's already taking
It's taking place, but pretty soon we're going to be enthralled in this war. A lot of y'all that's watching is going to be enthralled in a great war, and the trees will come back to life and fight the war. I seen the trees; they were forming in position to fight, like I Am Groot. The concept of Swamp Thing and all of these trees actually walking and moving are based on how our planet was before the Great Invasion, before they removed all our crystal trees and pumped oxygen in our atmosphere. It was a magical planet. Watch Maleficent. When they pumped those things in the atmosphere, that's how it was once they pumped the oxygen and all of the contaminants, the neurotoxins in the air. It stopped the Fae. We can't see the Fae. The gnomes and the duende that typically would come out. They became more guarded and started restricting themselves to the forest. A lot of the mermaids, they isolate themselves to the deep blue sea and all of that. When we would all amalgamate and come together, unicorns, dragons, all of that. So we're getting back to that, and there's going to be a time where all of that is rekindled. All right, cosmic family. But the only way you're going to evolve to that fifth dimensional plane is through love. If you have racist energy, if you're I don't like this person, if they this way, then you're still going to have to relive that pattern.
But that's all part of the program.
That's part of the program.
We were you know, installed that program earlier on, all of us, right, to keep us divided. The whole premise is because united, we're powerful. We overthrow everything. We everything shuts down, right? So the more divided we are on everything, you know, whether it's, you know, religion, race, this, that, then we are powerless, you know. And they eat that energy. They love it. That's loose. That's the way they survive. They're like, yeah, like, we're gonna keep the game going. We have to wake up to remember that we're more than that. I had a transcendental state of consciousness one time in a dream state where the beings told me they were laughing at the fact that we are, you know, divided because of color and things, that they were laughing at that because they're green, blue, you know, gray, different, you know, and they don't see it that way. You know, it's not seen that way. We only experience that here because we were programmed to believe all these things. So we just run with it. You know, yeah, there have been things that have been happening, but it was programmed to happen that way. Yeah, all those things were placed and so that we can. There were like little bits of programming installed in each and every one of us so that we develop this hatred and all this thing. We have to transmute that energy and get back to love.
What you think about this question, baby? She said, how can we be in the frequency of love with family members, partners, or friends that operate apparently in a low frequency and not in the same frequency as ourselves.
Yeah. So for that, I say that anything, especially right now, that interferes and lowers your frequency on a regular basis, you have to detach from it. If you really want to continue to ascend, there's two things you're going to detach. Now, if it's people that you are, married to and things of that sort, you have to find your outlet, release from that and get away from those people. But essentially, the whole part of, as we continue to evolve and this whole shift is about releasing the energies that no longer serve us. So we have to let go of those energies that no longer serve us because it's going to keep us tethered to the 3D. Anytime somebody continues to lower your frequency over and over again, people, places, and things, how can you continue to ascend? How can you continue to evolve? Because your energy is going to be distorted. Your energy field, we're water. Your water is going to be tainted.
Now, would you say your triggers are your teachers at the same time?
Your triggers are your teachers at the same time. Absolutely.
Mhm.
So you learn from them, but you evolve, you release those.
Mhm.
So I can say, for me, I had a past relationship and it was a lot of turmoil. It was a
Mhm.
lot of things. Now I learned from all of that.
Mhm.
I learned, I evolved, I take that piece and I release that in love. And I wish that person nothing but love. However, I had to release that energy because that energy was keeping me tethered to the 3D and it wasn't allowing me to show up as the best version of myself. It was tainting my water. Your water tainted over, some time is going to become murky.
So that's so now here's my theory also on some of it because it's very important that we try to isolate ourselves most definitely as the goddess said from low vibrations when these negative energy when it's negative energy, families or anything of that nature come in, a lot of the times we have to remember those are shadow aspects of ourselves and we have to
That
learn
too.
something from that experience.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I want you to, when next time a family member or something urge you or bother you, before you react to it, remember when we was talking about Alan, listen to Alan Watts, he was talking about the anger. Kind of think about, because the energy of anger is just, when you feel the emotion, you're going to feel it as fire. You're going to feel a little bit of it right there. Just pay attention to it. Then you're going to notice it's just energy. You're going to be like, okay, sit with it. This is why meditation is also key. It allows you to think before you can really fully react off knee-jerk reaction to a situation. So when you take the time to meditate and focus on your breathing, you're going to figure out a lot of times that things you may not be able to focus on your breathing. You're like, oh, I was supposed to be focusing on my breathing. That's the beauty of meditation is it allows you to remember, and get back to it. Same thing with a person that's bothering you or lowering your frequency. Take a second to think about what is triggering you and then analyze it and learn from it. Somewhere along the lines in another timeline, I know it sounds crazy, but you and that person at some point agreed to come down together to learn off of each other. As crazy as it sounds, even the most toxic ass relationship, somewhere along the lines, y'all may not remember it, but y'all agreed to come down and learn from each other in this plane of existence to cleanse
It
karma.
goes back to it's not any good and bad. They're all experiences at the end of the day. But if something continuously lowers your, especially if it's toxic. If it's toxic, you have to release it.
Yeah.
But we are here to learn to manage our emotions and release that energy and transmute it and get back to love. But if it's toxic, we have to release the energy.
I on the street in my city, no astral travel or nothing. Let's see. Let's see. Would there be a significant meaning in me seeing a black alien? I mean, a lot of times we see in these beings because the dimensions are thinning, the veil is thinning. So the significance would be that you are probably in resonance with that entity. So you've seen it. You were privy to seeing that being. We only see 0.035% of the light photon spectrum. So a lot of us are, as we ascend and cleanse ourselves and we outballoon in consciousness, we're getting glimpses behind the veil. We can see some of us are seeing more than that 0.35. We're this is why when you see floaters sometimes, those are fragments of the matrix that you're now getting glimpses of, where you can see a little bit more. So sometimes if you see these beings, you're actually seeing entities that you probably are connected with somehow.
Sometimes somebody said sometimes the most arduous, experiences can be the most beneficial if we choose to see them as an opportunity to grow. Absolutely.
Ashe.
That's how we learn. There's no good or bad. There's really experiences. It's just how we interpret them and what we do to, release, learn from them and let them go. Transmute them back into love.
So again, now, like any energy, like I was talking earlier, and this gonna sound crazy to y'all, right? This is gonna sound crazy to a lot of y'all. If everything went perfect in your life, right? Everything was perfect. 9 times out of 10, from the perspective of source, we would consider it boring. So a lot of us decided to come down here and challenge ourselves for the purpose of gaining knowledge in this earth school, of learning a little bit more about how to operate in it. If everything was always perfect and just like immaculate, you would probably it's crazy, but A lot of these experiences that we have, we agreed on in contract before coming down. I know that sounds crazy, but some of these experiences we agreed on in contract before coming down. We just have to remember the game. We just have to remember that we playing the game and don't take it so serious.
Mhm.
But some people, one thing you have to do is get away from those people that do lower your frequency. If you can, and they're lowering your frequency and they're not doing no good for you, 9 times out of 10, there are archon that's been placed on you to usurp your loose, usurp your energy, to take your ashe. Because a lot of times these beings see you and know how powerful you are. They know that you're a star seed. They know that you're amazing. So they'll stick these people on you.
And this is why I mentioned, about your weird water, right?
Hmm.
So when water becomes, it was that experiment with Dr.
Masaru Amato.
Masaru, yes. And he was like, like you mentioned, speaking love. He had, a couple of different, jars of water, and I think it was rice or something he put in it. And he was like speaking love into one of them, ignoring the other one, and then speaking really bad into the other one. And then he noticed that the one that the jar that he spoke love into was clear and pure, and it was, you could just see through the water, right? Then the one he ignored was super dark. It was very molded. It was really, murky. And then the one that, he was speaking bad to was also murky. But the one that was ignored was even worse, because that one was just completely just ostracized, not given any love, not given any interaction. But we're water. So when our water is tainted and we're not experiencing love, we're experiencing the opposite. Those are the things that cause cancer. Those are the things that cause all of these illnesses and things of that sort, because we are water, right? So we have to release those energies when they become toxic.
Ashe.
If they are lowering our energy and our frequency on a regular basis, we have to let those things go. Whether it's a job, a person, a situation, whatever it is, we got to release that. And when you love yourself enough, you love yourself so much that you won't experience anything other than what you're meant to experience. So we learn from it, and then we evolve and we release it in love.
And as the goddess said, that's 100% facts. Our molecular water structure is very sensitive, so we have to be very cautious of what we allow around our water. It really is our water. So, and again, Dr. Masaru Amato proved that words, just like if you read the Bible and when you're reading it, it said that God spoke things into existence. Let there be light. These affirmations. When somebody telling you you're this, you're not intelligent, you're this, and they're saying all of these low frequency things, your molecular water structure, even if you try to act tough and say you don't care, your molecular water structure still absorbs that. So this also applies to the movies we watch, the music we listen to. All of that is has a bearing on our molecular water structure. And also, here, check this out, the clothes we wear. I talked about how certain clothes designers were utilizing inverting esoteric sigils to make them demonic. A lot of these fashion designers, they'll utilize certain sigil patterns. They'll invert them, make them nefarious, and they'll even do dark magic around them. And then they'll pump them out to our communities, have a celebrity wear them, and now we're obsessed with all of these, all of these brand names. Where a lot of those brand name people don't even care about us. This is why I start wearing esoteric clothing and shirts and stuff with different sigil patterns different things that provide protection. It's because my molecular water structure, I don't want it absorbing something that wasn't meant for it. So we got to be cautious with even the things we wear and put on our body. All of these things mean something. Start wearing more esoteric clothing. Get yourself some ankhs. That's a very powerful. That's a very powerful talisman that represents transformation. The Merkaba, all right, Metatrons cube. That encases all 5 platonic solids, and it's a representation of creation. So when you wear certain sigils, it also aids in protection. Believe it or not, this is a fact. What are the people you know? Your light, and they keep coming at you trying to engage fake weird conversations. Then if you know they're fake, then completely sever your energy from them, cosmic family, if you know that they're fake. So you have to ask yourself, why are you still going to continue to engage in this person if you know that their energy is fake? Then something about you is pretty much enabling them to do that. You have to pretty much completely disconnect from them, or tell them how you feel. I'm going to be honest. I don't. Just be honest with them and let them know that you feel like certain energy is fake or whatever. But you have to completely detach from these people. When I was working at these 9 to 5s, a lot of things that I would do, cosmic family, is I would be myself unapologetically. On holidays, they'd be like, "Oh, happy Valentine's Day." I'd be like, "Nah," I'll tell them, that was a day festival of Lupercalia where they just people were just looking at me like, "What?" And I would just tell them, "Oh, that's a day of Saturn." And I would go right into the information. I would tell them, I was unapologetic because guess what? Most individuals aren't ready for high in depth conversations. So I wasn't trying to do small talk. So when I'm around somebody, if I talk to them about the Merkaba and they don't want to talk, I'll be myself. Never dumb down your ascension for nobody else.
Absolutely. We'll be out sometimes. And then people will come and be like, "Oh, what is that sigil you're wearing? Or what does that mean?" And whatever. And, we'll go into detail to talk about what it is. And then they may look a little weird afterwards, but we're not going to, say anything less than what, stating what it is.
Mhm.
If you're not part of the frequency that we're on, it's cool. It's all right. Nobody's better than anyone else. We're all, evolving at our own, way of evolving. So, but yeah, stand true to yourself.
Even the football games and award shows are all magic ceremonies that they do, and they try to get us engaged in this. So when they say, "Hey, what you think about those Patriots?" When if I was to say, "Well, the star in the Patriot is the star of Baphomet," and the reason why the Patriots were going against the Seahawks because it was a representation of the pineal gland. The Seahawk is the representation of Osiris, represents the third eye going against the Patriot. They'd be like, "What?" They're gonna look at me like, "What?" But this is how I talk to people, and I don't care. Once you're unapologetic in who you are, then the real is going to be there, and the ones that don't resonate with you are going to eventually stop being around you. But if you limit your ashe, your energy, and you dumb it down, and oh yeah, that I seen that game, and you just don't be who you are, then you're going to continue to enable them to continue to bring that low frequency subject matter to you. But you just got to be yourself unapologetically in order to vibrate above that. By following your life path. Somebody said, "How could you make a living without a 9 to 5 system?" By doing what you would do if you didn't have to get paid for it. So ask yourself, if I didn't have to get paid, what would I do all the time?
That I love to do.
And then find something that's essential, something that's going to work, and then fully put your ashe and energy into it. Mine was holistic healing and ascension. I always get into my stories, crystal healing, and go. You want to go?
Yeah, I'm about to. I have to take care of my
Okay.
my dog over here, but it's peace and love to all of you. We'll make sure I'm definitely going to go live more often because I recognize there's a lot to talk about right now.
Mhm.
But we have our podcast coming up, so we're going to really be breaking through with a lot of deep conversations with our podcast. So I'm logging off of Instagram for now. I love you, peace and love, family. If you have any questions or need any assistance with anything, feel free to message me and I'll respond. Peace and love.
Big ashe. I'm gonna stay on YouTube for a little longer. Then I'm gonna bail out. It's all good. It's all good. I haven't built with the collective in a minute. I've been around here for an hour and some change, 2 hours and some change. Gratitude, peace and love to the collective. Big ashe. I hope y'all feeling good.
We've been here since 7.
Word, wow. Yeah, big ashe. I'm exhausted. Does this mean somebody said I have such vivid dreams sometimes, and when I wake up, I'm exhausted? Does this mean I truly travel to different dimensions? Yes. I mean, a lot of times that means you were traveling, you probably were going to war in the cosmos. This could be a number of things. This also could be attributed to omnipresent radiation, ultraviolet radiation, electromagnetic radiation that's draining your life force as well. This is why I talk about utilization of copper and crystals and protecting your electromagnetic aura field, because a lot of times we're drained from this energy. Text Dylan and tell him okay, because he texted me. He said he's going to come around.
Okay.
Yeah, but a lot of our energy is depleted also from electromagnetic frequencies. So these are all things that will restabilize your auric field, because your energy is a lot of times is usurped from your morphogenetic field. All right. So these are all things that are essential, crystal healing and all of that. But start taking Shilajit. Shilajit, I have Shilajit on Holistic Remedies. Start taking cordyceps. Cordyceps is very good for blood sugar. It's also very good for natural energy. It's something that I used to use as a pre-workout. All right, cordyceps is phenomenal. And Shilajit. I will warm the Shilajit up a little bit and drink it, and that's something that's essential for energy. It has 85 plus trace minerals. So I recommend that. A lot of times the Schumann resonance spikes can also lower your energy. It could be attributed to Schumann resonance spikes. So we've been getting a lot of solar flares, and when the Schumann resonance spikes, lethargy could be one of those things. I've been lethargic myself. I've been sleeping in a little bit more. But this is also going to be attributed to increase in electromagnetic frequency. Shalom, God, finally caught you live. Big Ashe. I've been out here for a few hours, so I'm going to get off soon. But I just, I could be a little long with it, building with the collective. We came on initially talking about the P-47s, the P-52s, which the scientist that was unalive named Amy Eskridge came out talking about. And P-47 is present plus 47,000 years in the future, and P-52s is present in 52,000 years in the future. What she was disclosing is that these were ultra-terrestrials that pretty much, because when we talk about time, it's not linear, it's cyclical, all right? Which means that past, present, and future is all happening now. So, which means that we're all existing in these timelines simultaneously. A lot of times, the UFO you see may be you, checking you out or visiting you. All right, a UFO or your own celestial star family visiting you. Sometimes the shadow apparitions you see could be you from another dimension, dimensional overlay. All right. So once we realize how powerful we are, and these scientists start remembering that, think about all the scientists that came up. Mr. Some was into nuclear propulsion. A lot of them were. One of them was. It's 4 of them that's missing, and like 5 or 6 of them or 7 of them they end up taking out. Now I believe that personally, a lot of the scientists, they are keeping an underground subterranean bases and utilizing them for whatever they're trying to do, probably to open stargates or build portals to other worlds. Who knows? All right. Or they could be cloning them. There's a laundry list of things that they can be doing with these scientists. All right. But right now, it's very important that we begin to get a lot of EMF protection. All right. I told y'all orgone crystal pyramid structures are essential and known as the energetic alchemist. All right. Put these around your TV. Put them near your nightstand. Start wearing copper. All right. I have the electromagnetic blankets on Holistic Remedies that you can put on your bed. This way your dreams aren't hacked. All right. And then they don't have the ability of actually utilizing V2K technology on you. All right. So these are all things we need to remember. The real pandemic wasn't the COVID. It was the 5G, 6G, 7G installation for omnipresent radiation and bioweapons to be presented as cell phone towers, right? That's what the real pandemic was while we was all in the house, right? So, it's a situation where we have to, we're gonna, people eventually, and again, a lot of people are not, and I gotta be careful what I say. I say allegedly, some individuals that were they took the mandatory juice, if you know what I mean. When sentient nanotechnology or graphene oxide amalgamates with 5G, 6G, 7G omnipresent radiation, this is where you get things like, I'll say allegedly, the zombie apocalypse, right? I'm just trying to speak in code, all right? This is where you get things like that, situations where individuals get control. Graphene oxide is said to be sentient nanoparticles that are self-assembling when certain frequencies emanate, which means, let me put that in layman terms. If a person with enough graphene oxide in them, all right, was deceased, once you still emanate certain frequencies, what if, hypothetically speaking, that graphene oxide can still assemble in that dead avatar and move and walk? That's what we're talking about when we talk about the zombie apocalypse. We're talking about things like graphene oxide, this self-assembling nanotechnology that can move and operate based on frequency output. So, and again, this isn't to scare anyone. This is just facts. This is why when they was around that time, they were forcing that out. I was telling everybody to stay away from it. PQQ, pyroquinoline, is a supplement that I highly recommend. That is essential for mitochondrial biosynthesis, and it's very good for cellular regeneration. All right. If you're a person that may have been, a victim of that juice, if you get what I'm saying, you want to start taking PQQ, carbon 60, dandelion root. It acts as a natural diuretic to pull things out. Chlorophyll. I've been telling y'all consistently to consume chlorophyll. All right. Pine needle tea. These are things that are all essential. And when we talk about pine needle tea, it's rich in vitamin A and vitamin C and used to be utilized for things like scurvy. All right. So these are things you need to start taking if you've been subjected to the juice, if you get me, right? Even if you haven't been, just to ensure that you're protecting yourself from any deceptive nanotechnology that, because there was a patent for the graphene oxide, allegedly. right? A patent for the graphene oxide that was released. We'll say allegedly. All right. So we just have to be very cautious of what we're doing. You know what I'm saying? And what we're allowing and what we're consuming. And flush and purge our system out. Flush and purge our system, detox ground. Again, I told y'all herbs like blue lotus, great for astral projection, mugwort, hirataki, phenomenal for the pineal gland. These are herbs that I utilize to ensure that I have activity in the prefrontal cortex. Activity in the prefrontal cortex is what's necessary to remember your dream, to successfully remember your lucid dream. It's sad because there's a lot of people who are clueless to this information. Yes, they are. They are, cosmic family. They definitely are. See, the thing is, when we really delve into the fact that we are the meta-humans, when we look at projects like Montauk Project and realized that it was based on real individuals that were taken and experimented on in laboratories. And then we realized that they were utilizing remote viewing for the Cold War and all of that. They were using these things. We know we all have these abilities. So once we remember that and we start to lock in and fully rekindle that, we avoid all the distractions and we stop worrying about the man-made system, it's going to be hell to pay for the draconians, hell to pay for any nefarious beings that have been subjugating us this whole time. I told you, I've seen the timelines where we completely collapsed their systems. I've seen it. So I already know it's a wrap for them. All right. I'm just catching y'all up to speed. And in my excursions and my astral travels, there's other gods and goddesses that said they had the same exact dream. The same exact dreams that they're fighting the military. They're shooting bullets and missiles at us. We're going underground. We're destabilizing their systems, removing their adrenochrome farms, all of that. You feel me? So stay patient, stay resilient, and realize that this whole time that you are the god or goddess that you've been seeking. All right, that's very important. And once you do that, then at that point in time, you usurp your power. You take your power back, because a lot of time that power is usurped and utilized. All right, so become an energetic alchemist. Redirect that energy and that ashe towards you, and realize that you are the god or goddess that you needed this whole time. The religion was a form of mind control that was utilized to distort your perception of who you truly are. You feel me? Just like Simeon Toko. Simeon Toko told the cabal many more would return just like me. He told them many more, and Simon Kabungo, and a list of others, a laundry list of others, cosmic family, that hadn't displayed these powers. Most of the people in sanitariums and insane asylums, what if I told you that they actually have gifts and powers that they just keep subjugated? Watch Mr. Glass. Watch Mr. Glass if y'all haven't seen it. Anybody in an insane asylum or mental sanitarium, what that means basically is when they came in right through the womb, the inoculations didn't work on them. The chemtrails, the fluoride didn't work on them. All right, there's those rarities. Then so they have to watch them and monitor them and force feed them pills and pharmaceuticals to ensure that they don't activate. The concept of schizophrenia is people that can see through dimensions. That's what that means. They can communicate with the ultra terrestrials, and they diagnose them with the crazy, they would tell them they're crazy, and then force feed them pills and make them really and give them ailment. All right. So once people realize that all of the things that they thought were fiction are actually real and that they really are amazing, then everything changes. The first thing we have to change is our mindset and our perspective of it, to realize it's not impossible. All right. And that they realize that we are amazing, like Simeon Toko, and that we are capable of doing these things. You feel me? And again, I've seen the visions where we free the children from the 18-wheelers and all that. I've seen those visions, cosmic family. All right. It's a fact. Most of you watching this that resonate with this information are here for a reason. You're in those. Listen, I highly recommend decalcifying and activating the pineal and making sure that you're eliminating all fears. All right, all fears and constructs that religion put on you. Begin astral traveling. Begin laying down completely still, focusing on your breathing and focusing on and projecting your etheric body out of your corporeal vessel. Begin to travel and access the ancestral plane. You never will be the same again. You will never be the same again once you do that. And embody the love energy. Refrain from the programming that that been pushed on you in regards to racism and all of these things that pretty much separate us as a being. And once you do that and you embody the essence of love, you're going to completely ascend to higher levels of consciousness and being. Right? But I just wanted to come on here for a little bit with y'all, Cosmic family. I may come on tomorrow. My objective is to go live more often, is to get on live and build with the collective a lot often. If you can share this video, that's great. Like this video, share it as much as you can, and subscribe if you're not subscribed. Peace, love, and light to everyone. Big Ashe.